Oh, good afternoon and evening to everyone. Yes, this was a little bit of a shock because I did not schedule the event early enough to give enough people ample warning, but we're gonna nerd out
Evening to
today.
everyone.
Yes, this was a little bit of a shock
Yep, that's me.
because There we go. Now it's fixed.
Yeah, that was my end. My bad.
Yeah, what was it our CCs used to tell us? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah.
IP.
See, some of us have gotten fairly good at quick setups for streams. Others, yeah, you need a little more work on it.
So let's see here.
So for
All right.
So for those who are,
I have no idea what you're talking about there.
Well, so for those who are unaware, on the show we are not just streaming to AT2 Productions. We also are simulcast with Thoughts by Jay.
Oh yeah, I saw this on Sunday and just felt I had to share the stupidity with everyone that I could. What do you think, Jared? Does it need to be shared with everybody?
The pain must be shared by all, because, you know what, I will say this. While I don't agree with the politics that the person we are going to be discussing today and analyzing their analysis, I don't agree with them entirely. Actually, for the most part, I disagree with them. But his Star Trek related content, for the most part, I don't take issue with. But there were a few moments. There were a few moments in this video today that I was just like, "What the fuck?"
You know what is truly sad? I actually don't agree with Steve on much of anything, and in a lot of cases, especially his Star Trek content.
Yeah, I actually normally like Jared's saying, I disagree with him on his politics, but the Star Trek stuff it's usually good for, if not a cheap laugh, at least a thought-provoking question of my fandom. Have I thought of this myself,
Well, typically I've thought by the time I get around to Steve, I've not only thought about it, but I've usually rejected his individual argument. But then I've probably been at it a little while longer than you two have.
Well, here's the thing. Most of his Star Trek related stuff, to me, has been simply because I've been part of the fandom for as long as I can remember. It's part of the byproduct of being the child of an original Trekkie. So, yeah. With that, a lot of his takes on some of the issues with Star Trek, to me, were kind of, well, duh moments. Like, it was brain dead type of stuff, but I could see how someone coming into the fandom later can kind of miss those nuances. However, most of his stuff related to Discovery, it's agree with. You can kind of see where CBS has jumped the shark and gone off the rails with it. But this one, holy shit. It's like, how far up your own ass did you have to reach for this, Steve?
Given the usual level of Steve reach, I'd be willing to bet that he had to reach up Christie's ass to get to this shit.
Oh.
I mean,
not only have to reach up, he had to reach. Actually, not only do you have to reach up her ass, he had to reach completely through in his ass, which is where her head seems to be planted half the time, and vice versa the other half, and just keep doing the loop until he found the right shit. That's where he usually finds his Discovery crap too.
Speaking of Discovery, I shared with Jared yesterday on the Picky Shit Show a link to a video I never thought I would see made by Dave Cullen. Let me pull that up on my Discord here really quick before I close it out.
You mean the one in which he said it was actually starting to get slightly better?
Yeah, that's Discovery is getting better. I was like, is this Dave? Wait, what?
You know what? I saw that and I have not gone to watch it yet because to me, I don't even want to consider giving Discovery more of the attention than I've already given it until they finally admit that no, we are not connecting to the original timeline or anything. We are creating it new with the original timeline as a guide, and it is not just a visual but creative reboot. If CBS was to finally come out and just fucking admit that, okay, Discovery will get a fair shake, because then it will be treated appropriately. But if you continue to try to package it as, oh, no, it's part of the Prime timeline, it's part of the continuity, and it fits right in this spot. But when you actually look at it, it doesn't fit at fucking all.
Well, the problem, of course, is the 25% difference thing. Which funnily enough, it's actually CBS is there. What it came down to is there's two versions of CBS, and the side of CBS that owns it is fucking the part that's making it. Well, that's what's going on here.
Well, no, that whole two-part thing is there's essentially two owners to the IP that is Star Trek, and they've divided it between the TV show and the movies. That's the split between CBS and Paramount Viacom. And the whole 25% difference thing is really an unclear mess, because you have Jeffrey saying one thing, that he was given this directive, but then you have CBS on the backside saying, oh no, there was never that requirement.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, but you can see how it really is a he said, she said, and here's the thing, I am more apt to believe the fucking artist themselves.
Well, and here's the part that you're going to find freaking hilarious. Is that we actually had all of the fun. There is actually somebody there's I forget where this video is, but he broke it all down, the entire history of that bullshit. The entire history of bullshit involved there. The guy broke it all down, gave us all the history from conception through Desilu to Paramount, and Paramount is really where it should have stayed. Paramount should never have allowed itself to be purchased by Viacom.
Yep. And OBS decided to crash my stream. Yay.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Well, so I'll just mirror it later from Jared's side.
Okay. So, yep, see, this is one of those good things. It's good that we started out at least as a dual stream on the two channels.
Yep. Well, if you give me a little bit more warning, you could probably see it on my channel as well.
And actually, anyways, this might actually help the quality for the video then, since you're not trying to stream plus do the audio video at the same time, Jay. But so for those who are wondering, the Steve Shives video that has sparked all of this, that brought us to go ahead and do this sort of episode. Want to go ahead and bring it up, Jay?
Yeah.
If I may have you guys' authorization later, I'd like to put this one on my channel too.
Yeah, go for it. I have no problem with it.
Just close out my OBS so I'm not wasting memory and stuff. Let me go ahead and present.
Wait a minute, you haven't finished your rebuild yet, have you, Jay?
No, because I haven't bought any of the parts yet. That's going to be at the end of the month.
You should, dude. You need to get on that. And send me your freaking RAM. Send me the old RAM, man. Send it over here. Actually, better yet, get in your car and haul it up here. Not that time.
And
now Google's wanting to hang up on me too because of
all sorts of issues. And
wow.
in the meantime, so for
Dude,
those,
what did you say on YouTube recently that pissed off Giggle that damn bad? Because it has to have been, you had to have done something, man.
No. Let's be real. We are crapping on CBS, and we're also making fun of the Shive bot. So,
I went ahead and posted the link to the original in the chat. Give me just a moment. I'm going to drop out of Chrome and try and pull up the meets in Firefox and see if that'll work.
Well, Planet seems to be working from here. Usually, Sometimes
It's just I was processing too much at one time. That's all.
Well, maybe just resetting Chrome then will work.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do first. And if not, then
F5.
Eh.
Press F5 to pay respects.
Well, and for those who are wondering, yes, we do have Nightbot set up. No, Nightbot is not going to be the type of unforgiving twat that Nightbot tends to be on Rhetoric and Discourse's live streams. So don't worry about any of the postings you do in chat. However, it will help you with guidance to the Discord server, which is for not just AT2 Productions, but also a handful of other content creators, to include Radical the Unhallowed Knight. Actually, let me go ahead and pull up the full list over here.
How did Radical get on and nobody ever answered whether or not I was gonna be allowed?
Honestly, there is a community vote, and right now the content creators with links and actual control of the Discord server, as myself, Brainy Beaver, Fight the Flat Earth, Radical the Unhallowed Knight, Justice itself, who does most of his streaming on Twitch, the Creaky Blinder, and we also have a fan area, so it is not run by Red's Rhetoric, but it is a fan collection area for Team Cunt.
gotta love Team Cunt.
I seem to recall asking a while back to come play over there, and I didn't get to. That's okay. Excuse me. It's not that I didn't get to. I didn't receive an answer.
Well, we were in the middle of restructuring and rebuilding the server to have it be more intuitive and easier to navigate. So right now we are in a beta orientation of it, which is why we wanted to limit it to just those handful of content creators to see how it runs and how it operates, not just from an administration standpoint, but also from a user base.
At random.
Yeah.
Because I seem to recall it tried doing that a few times before. Back before Cy went back to his original Discord.
Yep. So
are we ready to start this?
Oh, we are about ready. So the title of the Steve Shives video we're doing is one he released. Did he release it on Sunday or was it Saturday?
No, he releases these I think on Wednesday or Thursday.
See, it's been there a little. It was there before the weekend because I remember seeing it on Friday.
Okay, so he asked the question: who is actually Star Trek's most reckless time traveler?
Ooh, I want to see. I get a fair idea of who's not going to be at the top of that list.
Oh yeah, do you have any guesses?
What? Who is number?
Well, yeah. Let's see. Let's see if everyone can take a guess. For those who have not seen the video, who do you think he ranks as the number one most reckless time traveler?
All I can really tell you is who didn't get ranked as the most reckless time traveler, and that'll be Kate Janeway.
Would you like to put money on that?
I'd have to have money first. You all know that my primary source of income is is my channel, and that doesn't make very much. So.
Yeah, so I know you're listening out there, Bo. Who do you think is ranked number one? Because I will say this: Janeway is in the running.
Oh, we got a Picard.
Picard does make the list.
He does he would make the list, but he's nowhere. He's not going to be near the top either.
See, my initial thought was going to be along the lines of Kirk, because you also have to think who have been the most prolific time travelers.
Well, you're talking about Kirk and McCoy. In these cases, the Guardian, they and Spock used. McCoy is the Guardian of Forever, and then a couple of minutes later, Kirk and Spock went through to try and resolve the things.
Yep.
Picard has been that way at least twice, most notably for what's it called Star Trek: First Contact.
Yep.
And
also the two-parter where they went back to San Francisco and met Twain.
Yep, I remember that one too. If you want to go by prolific, it would actually be the trio of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. If you want the one that did the most damage, well, that's kind of a toss. That's a mild toss-up, but not as mild as you might think.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the video and see where this wonderful piece of intellectual wisdom, if you want to call it that, decides to take us.
You just mentioned wisdom in reference to Steve Shives. I personally think that you are
yes,
you are no longer
qualified. Oh no, I am being highly facetious when I say that.
He's just trying to get the most accurate oxymoron in the sentence in there. That's all.
Yeah. We're still not up to the level of Microsoft Works here. We need to get past that.
I don't know. That was pretty close, but here we go. Yep. Bring it on. How should we call this? It's not quite stupid, but it's not quite.
Let's
garbage.
Let's just. I don't even want to call it garbage because there are a number of points where he's not wrong. It's just that when he is wrong, holy fuck, does it go off the rails?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you expect anything else of a man that would grab his stuffed dog a beer and then open it for him?
I did see that one. That was pretty
fun.
I mean, come on, really?
For a show titled Star Trek, it sure has told an awful lot of time travel stories over the years, huh? Every Star Trek TV series and 4 of the 13 feature films has featured time travel. In fact, so many characters from all eras of the franchise have time traveled and wreaked so much havoc in the past, present, and future that I feel compelled to ask the question, who is actually Star Trek's most reckless time traveler? Because God knows there are plenty of candidates. No, not him, the real God. Thank you.
Pause it.
I did.
I have to give him credit for that bit right there.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I saw it made me laugh.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, the first time I saw it made me laugh. This time, I genuinely laughed. And you know what? I have to agree with him. Because the closest thing to Star Trek has ever gotten to an actual God-type deity, it's Q.
It's Q.
Yep. Can't argue with that one.
Nobody's inclined to argue with that one. I thought that shit was hilarious. The God from Star Trek V was nothing and no one. What the hell does God need with a starship? Okay. Q, on the other hand, he don't need no starship. No, he just likes to fuck with the people in the starships. Completely different thing.
All right, ready to go forward with more whatever this is?
Let's go.
It's not just that time travel is a frequently used trope in Star Trek. Some of the most popular and critically acclaimed episodes in the whole franchise are time travel episodes. Makes you wonder why they didn't.
The most critically acclaimed episode in the franchise is "The World Is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky," and that involved no time travel at all.
To be pedantic, though, he does go on to actually support that, and notice he did not say all, he said most, which is true. Most of the most recognized episodes from an Academy standpoint, from an award standpoint, like this screenshot here from The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, were among the most critically acclaimed episodes that the original series did.
Yep. I'm not disagreeing. I was in fact I just decided to be a pedant for that 5 seconds. Carry on.
Just go for it and make a show called Time Trek. Side note, I'm a little disappointed no one ever made that show, to be honest. Not only is it a solid premise, and if you doubt that, check out Legends of Tomorrow. It's a show about a team of time-traveling superheroes, and it's awesome time travel.
Stand by on this. They did in fact make that show. It was called Doctor Who, and part of the reason that Gene didn't want to do that show, and nobody would have bought it anyways, because Doctor Who had been a thing for several years by then.
Yeah, well, and not to mention his whole time trek reference. Not only do you have Doctor Who, which predates Star Trek and actually for consecutive run far exceeds it, you're also missing Quantum Leap.
Yeah, and that was well after, which I might add involved another Star Trek captain.
Oh, again, a little bit of foreshadowing. Yeah, this one is going to be a bit of a spoiler. He does make reference to that in a loose way, a directly loose way that I actually did approve of.
I'm amused. Moving on.
So,
is an amazing title. How has that never been the title of anything other than an obscure 1970s video game? Sure, in 1993 there was Time Trax, which is close, and is also undoubtedly the crowning achievement in the career of Dale Midkiff, respect, but that has nothing to do with Star Trek. And is this series called Trax, actually? I don't think so. Was Time Trax really 25 years ago already?
Yeah.
I'll pause.
It was.
And now we get into a running joke that he tries to carry throughout the entire video.
It's already not working.
Oh, but that's the motive of Steve Shy. Do a joke till you beat it to death, and usually it's already been beaten to death by the first time you use it.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I can see, I know this pattern of his, and I already see that, and I'm going, no, it's already dead. Stop it. Stop it now, Steve, and maybe you get some respect. I know that's not going to happen, but...
Well, it'd be one thing if he kept it at that, whoa, holy shit type of moment about how long a series has been off air, and equating that to how much of your life has passed by. I have had moments like that, but I don't use it as a running gag in a video.
Well, see, and here's the thing that I did when the Barstool trilogy showed up on, or back in August of last year, I did that joke. It's like, damn, has it been that fucking long? And then I let it go. They laughed. Everybody was good.
More whatever this is.
Yep.
Anyway, so who might be Star Trek's most reckless time traveler? Given the subject matter, it seems only fitting that we proceed chronologically and begin with the series that takes place the earliest in Star Trek's fictional timeline, Enterprise. At first glance, this series would seem to feature several promising candidates. Thanks to a recurring subplot about a temporal Cold War, the first 3 seasons are chock full of time travel. Crewman Daniels turns out to be a temporal agent from the 31st century. Captain Archer travels into the future a few times. Archer and T'Pol travel back to 2004 in the episode Carpenter Street. The whole ship gets yanked back to World War II for the end of Season 3 and the start of Season 4. But this video isn't about Star Trek's most prolific...
Wait. Time out. I know nothing about Season 4.
You haven't watched Season 4?
No. I've seen Enterprise in its entirety. It ended after 3 seasons.
No, it didn't. There's a 4th season.
It stopped mid-4th season. The 4th season ended with the wonderfully patched together episode where Riker was in the holonovel prior to making his decision about whether or not he would take command of a ship, which, if I remember right, was the second time he was offered it, which was...
Third.
No.
That was his 3rd ship.
Yeah, it's the episode with
Riker's 3rd instance of having been offered command. He was offered command of one, I think it was in Season 3. That was either Season 2 or 3, and he was offered another one in Season 4. This would have been shortly after the series ended, and right after the Next Generation ended. This was the 3rd ship he was offered.
No, but when they go to it, this was the instance during the Pegasus incident that he was questioning it. So it was the second time he was offered the ship.
Oh, you're right.
Again, time travel. Gotta love it. But
Moving on.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Never mind that time travel by its very nature brings on plot holes.
Oh yeah. Don't worry.
Bring on the plot hole. Why didn't you? Okay, this bad thing, this bad, horrible, terrible thing just happened. Why didn't you go back and just fix it? Go back and tell yourself to stop that shit.
Well, here's the thing about that is Steve demonstrates it very perfectly. And in reference to your questioning of season 4, I will tell you this: you are not missing much at all. Yet, if you ever get into the book series, it is actually not too bad.
I've actually been told that the books for Enterprise were much better than the show. Not that I necessarily hated the show. But I seem to have missed the break between season 3 and season 4 because I wound up having to catch them on Netflix. I was not aware.
Netflix has season 4.
I was not aware that the last few episodes of that were in fact a season 4. I know they went to 100 episodes.
Well, the great thing about Star Trek writers is they try to fix plot holes, that they created amongst the movies and so on and so forth. Then in season 4 of Enterprise, they actually try to explain the smoothhead Klingons from the original series.
I remember that. Now, there's an episode I do remember. There was some more, and it was actually it was Brent Spiner was playing the doctor in that case. Yep. In that situation.
And they also that's the follow along from the augments, which talks about they talk about Khan as if he's dead, and
it's because the Botany Bay's been drifting for a while.
Yes, and they haven't caught up to it yet. Yep.
Well, here's the two time travel episodes. The time travel episode that got that I liked most is probably is going to be the one that's going to drive people insane. It's probably drove Steve insane, and that was Trials and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine.
He mentions that
episode kicked ass.
We get there, and so let's go ahead and continue on with the analysis, so we can actually go through the timeline and really hit on the points where he jumps the shark.
Time traveler. It's about the most reckless time traveler. And while Archer and the crew of his Enterprise did quite a bit of time traveling, they always did so to correct temporal incursions, to restore history that had been altered. Archer wasn't being reckless. He was striving to put right what once went wrong, hoping each time that his next leap would be the leap home.
Oh, God. Oh! You did not just go there.
I told you.
Oh! Pain. Steve.
The least you could have done is at least spelled the last name correctly.
Yeah.
I know, right? Arche. Does somebody want to explain? Does somebody explain that to me? I mean, this guy.
Poor editing. Poor visual editing.
Very poor visual editing. You would think that he would actually look at that and go, wait a second, that's wrong. But a guy that prides himself on knowing as much Star Trek as he does, absolutely prides himself on it. This is a problem.
All right, more analysis.
More stupid. Let's go.
Still would have been a better ending than These Are the Voyages. The next Trek series, according to the franchise.
Wait. No. That's one of the parts where I disagree with them. The way they ended Enterprise and transitioned by showing the progression of the ships and from the series and everything, it made sense because they actually put a concerted effort to tie in Enterprise to the continuity of the rest of the Prime universe and the Prime timeline. Right.
And they succeeded in doing so very well. I wasn't exactly thrilled with the episode either, but they at least managed to wrap things up properly.
Yeah. Yeah, they even in the books, kind of diverging from the shows here, They even talk about the Kobayashi Maru and how it became the test of tests for captains.
Not that anybody ever passed it, strictly speaking, including Mr. Kirk.
Oh, come on now. He had ingenuity.
I give him that much, but it just no. That was still cheating.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do prefer the Star Trek II explanation of it versus what we get in the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
The one for the Kelvin timeline was complete and utter bullshit, and Spock, if I'm not mistaken, Spock was not in that particular position at that time. In fact, Spock didn't even do that kind of thing at that time.
Oh no, I was laughing at what Bo said in the live chat.
I'm not even looking at the live chat.
Yeah, come on, Squirrel. Steve's head is way too far up Winter's ass to care about the details.
You know what? I can't disagree with that. I want to, I really do, and I can't. Because I actually made that joke myself right at the beginning of the stream.
All right, more stupid.
I can't.
Guys' in-story chronology is Discovery. I'm not going to say much about Discovery in this video because at the time of this recording, we're only about halfway through the show's second season. The first season featured a bit of time travel, a time loop episode featuring Harry Mudd, and a time jump near the end of the season when the crew comes 9 months into the future while returning from the Mirror Universe, but nothing that really qualifies as reckless. The second season's major ongoing story arc involves a mysterious time-traveling Red Angel, but it's not over yet. So I'm going to wait and see how this one turns out. What about classic Trek? It not only originated the whole damn Star Trek franchise...
Go ahead and pause it. I have to give Steve credit there for not wanting to go too far into Discovery because there really isn't the material there to go with. But as an aside, there was a video that I came across earlier today where they were talking about the still ongoing lawsuit concerning Discovery and other avenues that they may have poached material from.
Oh dear,
including the Red Angel.
Oh, someone jumped the shark on the Red Angel, did they? Damn. I know that I remember the charter grade thing quite clearly because I remember seeing original information on that game.
Yep, that lawsuit is still going on.
Are you kidding me? You would think that CBS would have gotten this one sorted out. At least sorted out.
Here's the funny part. In the analysis of this, CBS's response to the poaching of information from the game, they pretty much admitted to stealing creative design aspects from The Expanse.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I'm surprised the guy that did The Expanse hasn't sued the shit out of him. I was actually quite surprised.
Give it time.
Wait for the precedents to be set.
Because to be perfectly honest with you, that was a really good series. That was not only a really good TV series, but the books were amazing. And that's high praise. Very high praise. Usually I won't stick my neck out for much.
All right. Back to the video.
It also established that time travel was no big deal. Captain Kirk and the crew of the classic Enterprise time traveled by accident in The Naked Time and Tomorrow Is Yesterday, both Season 1 episodes, and by the end of Season 2, they'd gotten the hang of it so well, they were nonchalantly time warping back to the 20th century to conduct historical research. It's easy to forget just how casually time travel is handled in that episode, Assignment Earth, probably because Star Trek never...
Pause.
Hold it.
The time travel in that episode was not handled as casually, more as a byproduct of trying to remedy the situation they were thrust into.
Yeah.
Well, and even then, there's more to it than that. That was not something that was undertaken. I don't believe it was even undertaken deliberately. But you got to realize that when they started doing the original Trek, they started out if you go back to the first pilot, they were referring to time warp factor as when dealing in speeds.
Yeah.
Okay, which would have a certain degree of accuracy to it, but it's not what Steve wants to think here. There was not a whole lot when you think about it in terms of science available to the original writers, and certainly not Mr. Roddenberry. Mr. Roddenberry is not a scientist. Arthur C. Clarke, he's a scientist, or he was. They're both in the same position now.
Yeah. Sadly, but all right, let's let him continue.
Treated the subject that way again. When the crew traveled back to the 20th century again in the film Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, it was treated as an incredibly dangerous operation, which they were lucky to survive. How did time travel go from routine to incredibly dangerous? Easy. Routine time travel is boring, and incredibly dangerous time travel is dramatic and exciting. So the writers of Star Trek IV just ignored the previously established fact.
Night out!
So this is where I actually wanted to scream at my monitor when I first saw this.
Let me jump in on you here, Jay, real quick. First off, yes, they were talking about it being incredibly dangerous, et cetera, and dramatic, et cetera, et cetera. That's a no shit, Sherlock. Besides which, the Enterprise that they used for all of the other time traveling variations is a much larger, a much sturdier ship than the Bounty, which is what they were using in Star Trek IV. A little bitty 12-man Klingon scout ship.
Well, and I'm not going to spoil anything because he does not reference this line of dialogue that happens shortly after this scene in the movie. Does anyone remember the dialogue that Scotty gives to both Kirk and Spock on why it was such a dangerous thing for them to do it in that ship other than the size?
There's something about depleting the dilithium.
Yeah, so the quality of the dilithium crystals that
were shit
by comparison. So, which is why they got that whole sub story about needing to get the nuclear reactive material to regenerate the crystals.
Because the nearest dilithium mine from where they are is a long way from there.
And they could barely get out of Earth's atmosphere.
Come on. Y'all know they just wanted to go to see the nuclear vessels.
Nuclear vessels.
Across the bay in Alameda. Now, here's a fun thing for you. And we're talking about 1984 here. Okay. So I know a great many of you would think of 1984 as prehistory. But during the time period that Star Trek IV was supposed to have occurred, down the middle of June of 1984, I was in San Francisco. I was actually there. Dad grabbed the family. And we took off for like 2.5 weeks, and spent the entire middle of the month in and around San Francisco.
Well, now, interesting thing with that, Roddenberry wanted to be able to do some filming with the Enterprise. However, there were 2 problems to that.
Problem number 1, Enterprise at that time was part of the Atlantic Fleet.
Yep. And she was out on deployment at the time.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, they, not too terribly long after that deployment ended, they dry docked her for a few years to salvage and replace her MMRs.
Yep. Now, here's another question. What ship did they use as her stand-in?
Oh, God. I know this one.
Wasn't it the Blue Ridge?
Nope.
No.
Blue Ridge was a command and control ship, which is still over in Yokosuka.
Yeah. That's pretty much where she stayed. She didn't get very far from there, actually. Oh God, I forget.
It's the same. It was the same one used as the Enterprise stand-in in Top Gun.
God. God, I know the answer to this.
The Ranger.
Yeah. The Ranger?
Gio, we were trying to invite you into this, but you told us no.
What?
Gio wants in.
Yeah, now he wants in.
Who wants in now?
Gio Streber.
Oh God. Yeah, it was. It was Ranger. I had a brief thought for a moment that it was Kitty Hawk, and didn't. I wasn't. That was the one. That was the one where I was coming from. Was it Kitty Hawk or Ranger? I know it was one of them. I couldn't remember which.
Nope, it was Ranger, because if you actually look, you'll notice there's only one elevator forward of the island and 2 aft on the starboard side. It was the Kitty Hawk class that switched.
Right. Okay. Yes, I do remember that now. And I didn't spend that much time on carriers, dude. Seriously.
Thing is, I knew this before I even joined.
You had an unhealthy obsession with aircraft carriers, Jared. That's why you knew that.
No, it was actually all military hardware. But while we wait for Gio's PC to finish booting up, let's see where he goes from here.
Hold on, I gotta respond to the word is good. Let's see here. Your complaint will be registered in about 4 to 6 weeks, possibly never.
Also, I don't know who was responsible for pausing this like this, but damn, that shit is scary.
Oh, come on, you know you like it.
Well, no, it looks like he's getting ready to eat Christy completely out from the bottom up.
No. Who was it in? Mr. Unite for the Children called it better. He looks like Von Helton.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I will defer to Mr. Unite for the Children. He just better show up for tomorrow's live stream.
All right, here we go. More stuff.
Back to that, time travel was super easy and did what was best for their story. It's almost as if the creators of Star Trek have treated its in-universe history as malleable rather than immutable since the beginning, and have always felt at liberty to ignore, add to, or otherwise alter parts of it as they saw fit to serve the needs of the story they were telling at the time. And fans who are upset with the producers of Star Trek Discovery for supposedly pissing all over canon should just get over it. They should just get over it.
Dave, shut your freaking pie hole. Stop right there, Mr. Man.
No, see, why we are upset with Discovery is because they said one thing and are quite obviously giving us another.
Well, on top of that, we have elements from the Kelvin timeline prior to the time in which they would be implemented in the Kelvin timeline, already in use, not only aboard the Discovery, but God damn, what's the name of that? What was the name of that first ship? I forget her name.
The Shinjo.
Yes, the Shinjo. We actually there was some considerable bitching about holograms being used at that time, and apparently somewhere in the early part of the second season they said no, we're going to go to view screens only. Why would you do that?
Well, from what I gathered, the in-show reason that they gave for it does kind of make sense. And even then, it was said in the technical manuals, as far back as I was able to find, that the view screen was a 3-dimensional view screen. It was not a 2D video panel like what we currently use. So,
which we would sell. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Go.
So, it having tweaks in technology like that are really not much of a leap. What I don't agree with is how how pervasive the communication technology was on the Discovery compared to later. Because when you look at the original series, you have intercom stations all throughout the ship. You don't have personal communication to the extent that they show in Discovery. Now,
it's not only the communication, though. For example, compare the terraforming technology that they had in Discovery compared to the one shown in TNG.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one. The problem that I have with Discovery is that it feels completely anachronistic. If they had set that, say, about 50 or 60 years after TNG, then I would have said nothing.
Yeah, then a lot of the changes would have made more sense.
It kind of feels like late Enterprise B, maybe early Enterprise C period, right? Somewhere between 2295 and 2340, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, but then here we go. Here we go with this one, Gail. Here's the one that in my little brain would actually make more sense. Kick off Discovery about 2450.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Klingons who have been asleep for fucking ever, with some major mutations because they don't have their original environment, can't even be replicated at that point.
Yeah, wait a second. Are you saying 2350 or 2450?
2450.
2450. Okay.
Like way out behind.
Behind TNG
Yes,
and
that
Nemesis
would be
and everything.
71 years after Nemesis.
Yeah. Take it way, just send it way the hell out there in the future. You know, anywhere from 50 to 100 years, and everything that's going on in Discovery comes completely clean. If they'd said it way out in the future, it would have been brilliant. It's the same thing they did to make sure that the differences between the Star Trek movies and Star Trek The Next Generation weren't going to cause a problem.
Actually, I slightly disagree with you, because when you take a look at the mirror universe part in the first season of Discovery, that one would not work in the future. Because in Deep Space Nine, the Terran Empire was already destroyed, and the Cardassian Bajoran Alliance
had taken over. Yeah.
Had taken over, exactly. This one would not be compatible with the mirror universe we get to see in Discovery. As, for example, the old Defiant, the old Constitution class Defiant is still running.
That in and of itself I found odd. But you could still, I can still make that case. I just can't make it I just can't make it quite as strongly, because an empire that falls can eventually be rebuilt. Can and almost always is eventually rebuilt in some way, shape, or form.
Well, the way I would put it
Not
is
precise, but
the way I would put it is if you shifted Discovery by that, call it 100-year, actually a little over 100-year difference in the timeline, the number of issues and consistency issues that you run into are minimized. They're not entirely mitigated, but there becomes a drastically smaller number of them.
well, and the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the one that Gio was just talking about. And even then, a rebuilt Terran Empire off the backs of the humans that got tore up in Deep Space Nine. Not impossible. Nowhere near impossible. Give them 150, 200 years. It's easy.
Yeah, but not with the ships. Not with Defiant still intact.
Yeah, okay. The ships.
I mean, we can be pretty sure that everything that the Terrans owned was destroyed when the Cardassians and the Bajorans took over.
Yeah,
Well,
they made them a subjugated species at that point. And to address Bo asking which one, there were more than one Defiant class ship. No. In the mirror universe, at the time Discovery went back, you get into the occurrence that happened in the original series with the Tholian Web, where the Defiant phased out of existence in the Prime universe. And what we find out in Enterprise is it was actually pulled back in time and across to the mirror universe as intact while killing everyone organic that was on it.
Yes. So the episodes that are relevant here obviously are the Tholian Web and In the Mirror Darkly, part 1 in Enterprise.
Okay, so yeah, I will give you that would be a problem. But again, the rest of it, everything else comes clean if you kick Discovery forward a couple hundred years. It's 150, 200 years.
That in the episode with Harry Mudd, but again, like I said, is there are still issues with Discovery. There are just far fewer of them.
Put it this way: if they had actually, I look at it the other way. If they had built it originally as being after the Next Generation and not before the original series, the amount of objection that happened would not have been nearly so hard.
Well, like I said earlier, if they just were upfront and honest with what they were actually doing and not tried to say that it was part of the Prime timeline and part of the Prime universe, there wouldn't be the issues. We would be accepting of the rewrites and changes because we wouldn't be expecting it to fit in this narrow segment of the timeline that has already been mentioned and discussed. And I think this is actually part of the issue that came up with the lawsuits with the people who were doing the Axanar project. Because when you look at it visually and from the timeline standpoint and how it was written, Axanar fits into that gap between Enterprise and the original series far better than Discovery ever will.
I think the Battle of Axanar, wasn't that like in 2235 or something?
Yeah, something like that. It was during the 4-year war with the Klingons.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's
Mystery Net
a
for
little
Children.
bit of a shame that Enterprise actually didn't go into the relations with Axanar. They were mentioned in, I think, 1 or 2 episodes, but nothing came of that.
Yeah. But again, the series got cut short. Had they done a full 7-season run, who knows where they would have been able to end up and flesh out.
I remember that in the late 2150s, the Earth-Romulan War starts. So if they had continued like the way they did the few years before, they would probably be talking about the Romulan War.
Yeah.
Which led to the foundation of the Federation in 2161.
Yeah, exactly. And they kind of hinted on that in the last few episodes, especially the last episode as they were leading into the conference that started the foundation of the UFP.
Yes, the Babel trilogy.
Yep.
Babel United, and then what was the third one?
Yeah.
The one on Andoria.
Oh,
The Anar.
yeah.
Yeah, that trilogy is actually the best sets of episodes in Enterprise, I think.
Yeah, and it fit in with the continuity of everything else beautifully. It's amazing how you can make a great episode and improve the series while still staying true to the established canonical timeline.
Yeah, did you see the proposals for revamps of the NX-01 Enterprise for potential future seasons?
Yeah, with the secondary hull being slung beneath.
Exactly, the secondary hull, the new warp engine, and probably Shran being a bridge officer.
Yeah. And again, things that I wish they would have been able to do, but they pulled the plug too early.
Yep.
Well, now you're actually into information I don't have. I had no idea that they were working on a rebuild of or a continuation of Enterprise.
Yes, the chef designer actually had some drawings and I think also some CGI models that they would have used for season 5 and a potential season 6. There were some storyboards developed and some details about the time or the plotline had leaked. For example, and here's a major spoiler: future guy is Archer.
Yeah, the shadow figure, which yeah.
He's just nicknamed Future Guy in pretty much every online
in every script.
quarter.
Yeah,
Everywhere he's no. In the official script, he's always called humanoid figure, but in in every forum, and I think on Memory Alpha as well, he's just nicknamed Future Guy.
All right, back to this smiling asshole.
I want to read off Mr. Unite for the children's comment. I thought Jared put the middle finger image on a screen to flip him off. That's actually on Shive's screen. LOL.
Yep.
Actually, I believe that is not only that, but I believe that is the
It's
hand
Burnham.
of the actress.
It's
Yes.
Burnham.
And I forget the actress's name. Not that I gave a shit what her name was to begin with. I just know the character that she played in season 1 is completely and utterly flat. It has
Didn't
no affect.
and also no boobs. Didn't you? Yes, sorry. If you make a flat joke, then I gotta make a really flat joke. Didn't Shives already talk about Captain Jellicoe a few years ago in a longer video?
I
Yes.
believe it did, yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember writing a lengthy comment about that one, completely disagreeing with him.
Yeah, we can always pull that one up later and do it repeat.
Yeah,
Do rehab.
Whatever we're gonna call
basically,
this.
The problem that I have with Jellicoe is that he actually didn't understand that it's important for a captain to know how his crew works in the most best and efficient way. He wanted the crew to adapt to him without actually showing any ability to adapt to the crew.
them.
To how, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, it has to be a give and take, because if there's no give and take, if there's no take, if there's no give, it's all gonna get taken. Oftentimes, with any ship, any command I've ever been associated with, there's a feedback loop, and that feedback loop is absolutely critical to the way the command runs. If you go in and you shake everything up and then dump people on their heads, the first thing you're going to have is a mutiny.
Yep.
Believe me, it's been done.
More stupid.
More stupid.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. None of this is to say that classic Trek doesn't have any candidates for most reckless time traveler. I can definitely think of one. It's not his fault. He's tweaked out on cordrazine, but even so, Dr. McCoy jumps through the talking time donut and changes history so the Nazis win World War II and the Federation never exists. If not for Kirk and Spock following him back and stopping him from saving that nice lady from getting pancaked by a truck, we'd all be speaking German and fascists would be running this country.
Stop.
Thanks to Kirk and
Stop.
So, 2 questions here. Obviously, he's talking about the episode City on the Edge of Forever.
Yes, he is.
Second question. Why is everybody speaking German a bad thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. He actually does kind of have a good line that he follows it up with.
Oh,
Well,
God.
see, the next bit here is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the yes, our country is being run by fascists, because I know it. He cannot help himself.
Also, remember that this is not the only the Nazis overrun America timeline fuckery that's going on in the Prime timeline. The other one would happen in the end of season 3 in Enterprise, where after the Zindi attack. Do you remember that?
Yep, I remember it. Remember it very clearly.
So yeah, if you accuse McCoy of being reckless when it comes to timelines, you also have to accuse Archer. Well, assuming it was his fault, it really
Archer will doubtless stand
wasn't.
accused,
Well,
but then we still have Janeway and Cisco. Janeway, Cisco, and Picard to go.
Well, here's the thing. With the Enterprise in World War II, is it wasn't anything that Archer did. It was crewman Daniels that pulled them back right as the Zindi sphere exploded. So
Well,
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
yeah, I have to give you that one. Daniels was well. I won't give you my description. I will not give you my opinion on Daniels. Anybody that's ever spent time in the Navy probably already knows what my opinion of that child was. And those of you who did not could probably figure it out.
Well, the thing about Daniels is that apparently he was so competent to hop out of the universe and end up in Galaxy Quest. For those who don't know, same actor.
Yep.
yeah,
Not
Alright.
the same character, but it's the same situation.
Well, how
the
do you
same
know
degree-
it's not the same character? Da, 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 da.
All right.
yeah. Okay.
More garbage.
Spock, we're not speaking German. I don't want to be too hard on McCoy, though. When he travels back to 1986 with the rest of the crew in Star Trek IV, he does have his wits about him, and he cautions Scotty about giving away the formula for transparent aluminum because it would change the future. That's responsible time traveling. Doesn't do any good. Scotty's just like, whatever, for all I know, Arnold Ripner over here invented it. History schmistery. But the thought is appreciated.
Stop. And Scotty's response to McCoy when he makes that statement is, "How do you know he didn't invent the bloody thing? That wasn't Scotty. That wasn't Scotty blowing McCoy off. That was Scotty suggesting that they're already here, and just because it is entirely possible their
Could be
need
a paradox.
for stuff created a paradox. There's not actually a problem here, Mr. McCoy.
That's one thing. The other thing is they're already in damage control mode anyway, right? They're fixing the future timeline by trying to export the whales into the future. So which potential future is worse? Earth being fucked up by the whale probe, or the development of transparent aluminum happening earlier than it was originally scheduled
Actually, believe it or not, based on what Scotty said, I'm guessing transparent aluminum had to have turned up in their timeline at least at approximately that point in history.
Yeah, well, at least it predated what they know as World War III and the potential information loss, because they even say that in that period and prior, the historical records are spotty at best, which is why he makes the comment, how do we know he didn't invent the bloody thing anyways? There are gaps in information that they have across that barrier due to that massive global conflict. So you already have these checks and balances in universe and in the explanation. And actually, around this bit, I did interact on the video and leave a comment because someone had commented to him about Scotty and his interaction with the computer. To which the original comment was,
Keyboard, how quaint.
No, the original comment was, "Hello, computer."
Yeah.
To which I responded, "Just use the keyboard." And Scotty's reply, "Keyboard, how quaint."
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to the computer mouse, if I remember correctly. I haven't
At
seen
one
Star Trek
point.
for forever.
At
Yeah,
one point, yeah.
He thought the mouse was he did actually think for a moment or two that mouse was a
Microphone.
the computer was a microphone. Yeah.
That's what I should have used for the thumbnail, Jared.
I think it was a
Me holding up
Macintosh,
my
wasn't
mouse.
it?
What
right,
was that, Gio?
I think it was a Macintosh he was talking into.
Yes, and
It
early
was
Mac.
The early ones.
Actually, believe it, the sad part of it is I can tell you even more than that. That one there was that Macintosh was on Mac OS 3.
Okay. Well, early Macs were never my thing. I'm more of an MS-DOS guy.
Yeah, don't feel bad. So was I. But I had to actually. But there were some things I actually had to know.
Well, like I wasn't alive at this point, right? I was born in 1993. I just happened to develop retro gaming as a hobby of mine in the last few years. And
Dude.
I just prefer MS-DOS.
Do you realize that by the time you were born, I was old enough to freaking vote?
I
All
I don't
right,
know, maybe.
back to the video.
By the way, the cat has left
No.
the furball.
You think I'm kidding? That was the year 1984 was, 1993. The year I turned 21.
Awesome.
More
Not only that,
garbage.
I did it at boot camp.
Nonetheless, Doctor. Let's move on to Star Trek The Next Generation. The TNG crew weren't a very reckless bunch. Picard is so concerned about preserving the timeline that he even makes Q promise that only his own personal history will be changed when he's sent back to the past in the episode Tapestry. Though he's not always so careful. I don't think you went back and collected all those blinky things you stashed in the lamps of 19th century San Francisco, did you, Jean-Luc? And where'd you get those anyway? Did you bring them from the 24th century? That's what I call planning for the future. Or the past, whatever, you know what I mean. That lapse aside, Picard may have done a bit of time traveling, but he's definitely not a serious contender for most reckless. In fact, compared to the rest...
There's one thing that we need to talk about here that is sometimes overlooked. Remember in the last episode of TNG, All Good Things, when Q takes Picard back about 4 billion years to right after the Earth formed?
Yep.
Picard did not protest to this, because since he was on the Earth at this time, theoretically he could have contaminated everything with whatever, like bacteria and shit he was carrying around.
Well, you also have to realize that Q is commonly thought is the closest anything has ever come to a definition of God.
Yeah, but he's also the biggest troll in the universe, as if he cared about accidentally contaminating the timeline.
Well, and see, here's the thing, is when you actually look at that episode, what was it that sparked everything going, Q bringing him there? It was showing that the temporal distortion that they were finding was getting larger the further back in time that you went.
Yes, exactly.
So it was one of those things that them being there, stopping the initial spark of abiogenesis that resulted in the planetary evolution, could you really attribute it to them being there, or that temporal anomaly, which was clearly seen, clearly visible from where they stood on the planet? The implication that Q gives is that it was the temporal anomaly, not their presence. Plus it was Q who put his fingers into the primordial soup.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, Q is probably sanitized anyway.
Well, even if he were not, Q being the sort of creature that he is, and yes, I agree completely with the description of Q as the godlike troll of everything. He could have been involved in the whole. He could have been involved in the entire mess all the way up to the dawn of Judaism, the Abrahamic religions, because what is God as described in the Bible but a goddamn troll?
Oh, and and even then, you really want to think his finger is sanitized? Do you remember how he and the female Q mated right in front of Janeway?
Was it the same finger though?
We don't. You know what? I don't think it. Actually, I don't know that it would really matter on this scale.
Or since they were in the Q continuum back then, maybe the finger was just a representation to make like the humans understand what is actually going on.
But
I mean, we pretty much know nothing about the Q. We don't even know whether their omnipotence is due to technology or their biology. Right? So saying anything about their mating practices makes no sense whatsoever until we gain further information. And I have to admit, this is the second weirdest Star Trek talk I've had today. The first one was somewhere on the website 9gag, where I was discussing with the guy, which one of the three known Dex symbionts is the best one to fab to. And by the way, it's not Audred.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm not. We love you dearly, Gio, but I am not touching that with anybody's cattle prod. Especially not yours.
All right, back to the video.
Yes, back to the video.
of the franchise, the Next Gen crew's experience with time travel is relatively slight. Other than that Time's Arrow two-parter that bridged seasons 5 and 6, there's no episode that features all or most of the main cast on a time travel adventure. There are what we might call minor time travel excursions, like in the episode Cause and Effect, where the ship is caught up in a time loop that forces them to relive the same day over and over again, or will always have to.
But cause and effect only deals with something de facto moving forward in time, right? There's no possibility in that scenario of some sort of time loop where what you do in the present has any type of effect on the past. Everything you do only has an effect on what's happening in the future. So I wouldn't even technically count this as the time travel episode.
No, exactly. But it was a temporal anomaly that resulted in a time loop. That party was correct, but yeah.
That's true. But let's just assume that instead of being caught in the time loop, they would just be frozen for a few weeks. What would change?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. No, and that's where I say I agree with you that no, it is not what he's trying to portray it as a time travel excursion. It's a temporal loop. It's a temporal occurrence, but it is not time travel.
Same thing that happened with old Harry Mudd, remember?
Oh, in Discovery, yeah. Yeah, it was a temporal loop.
Magic to make the sanest man go mad, I think?
I think that was the name of the episode.
Yeah, I think it was.
All right. More Steve being an idiot.
All right.
Paris, where they experience brief temporal distortions aboard the ship as they approach a lab where a scientist is conducting time experiments, or the series finale, All Good Things, where Q sends Picard bouncing back and forth between past, present, and future in an attempt to stop a temporal anomaly that destroys all life on Earth. No big deal. The Enterprise itself doesn't do any significant time traveling until the film Star Trek First Contact.
Stop.
And the
Lies.
There's one episode he's missing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday's Enterprise.
Yeah,
remember, even though we're dealing with another timeline, the timeline that is that manifests in yesterday's Enterprise still has some effects on the prime timeline as timeline 2
With
Picard allows Tasha Yar to go back in time.
Yep.
Which leads to the birth of her daughter, whose name I've forgotten.
the half Romulan.
Something with T, no.
No.
For fuck's sake, I'm gonna look it up.
I know. I. Damn it! I hate it when you do that.
I got it. Wait. Wait a second. Yesterday's Enterprise. Redemption 2?
Yeah, it goes to Redemption. And actually, she ended up being a recurring character.
Sailor.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
It.
Are we ready for more stupid?
Yep.
Enterprise E crew aren't exactly careful about avoiding contact with the locals when they get to the 21st century, but they don't really have a choice. Their mission is to prevent the Borg from altering Earth's history, and by the time they get there, the Borg have already seriously damaged the complex where Zefram Cochrane is planning to launch the first warp-capable spacecraft. So it's not like they can just...
I disagree with him. For the reason that they didn't do anything to keep the timeline uncontaminated after the Borg had been defeated. They didn't try to remove or to destroy the remnants of the Borg sphere that had crashed in where was it, Alaska or something?
Yeah.
The Arctic.
Yeah, wherever, which led to the Enterprise episode Regeneration. So they were kind of reckless in this episode. And by the way,
honestly, I don't think it would be kind of reckless. That would be incredibly reckless.
Yeah,
actually, we must be certain that this is also not a causality loop, because in the end of Regeneration, the Borg sent back a signal into the Delta Quadrant. So it's possible that this entire circle wouldn't work without them actually failing.
Yeah, because one of the prevailing theories is that when the Borg actually, right as they finished the beacon and it seemed to activate before it got disconnected from the ship, that initial pulse of a signal did get transmitted towards the Delta Quadrant, which is what then sparked the the in, the inclination for the Borg to expand in that direction, only to be exacerbated later in the direct timeline by Q flinging the Enterprise into the interaction with the Borg prior to then moving them back.
Yeah, so the question becomes, which one of the two hypothetical signals was it? The one sent in 2063 or the one sent in 2152?
Well,
Both.
see, here's the thing.
I say both.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Both of those things would probably have been required for the Borg to be enough interested to get that far. Well, they would actually a short pulse signal saying here wouldn't have the same effect as if wouldn't have nearly the urgency if they didn't actually find another object. They didn't find other objects down that line, and in this case, we could talk about Q being our most really reckless time traveler, because frankly, that shit was that was terrible.
Well, is there one thing that Q did that was not terrible?
Well, okay. I'll give you that one, but still.
Well, he did concede the loss during that asylum request trial of the other Q. He did take in Voyager. Yeah, he did accept the loss in the trial there, so...
That's true. And he also supplied Quinn with the poison.
Yep.
So yeah, that's fair.
Nice one.
On the other hand, this did lead to the Q Civil War, and as a result, a few stars went supernova.
Well, a few.
Yeah, I think weren't there like at least 3 of them in that Voyager episode?
3 that Voyager witnessed. That doesn't mean
they
there
went right in
weren't
the
others.
middle of the path of 2 of them, I think.
Yep. So, all right, back to the video.
Just hang back out of the way. And most importantly of all, they succeed. They defeat the Borg and put history back on its previous course. Sure, that mini crisis where Cochrane tries to run away without making the warp flight could have been avoided if Geordi had just kept his mouth shut about the monumental statue and the likeness of Cochrane people were going to erect someday. But hey, Riker shoots Cochrane with a phaser to keep him from escaping, and they drag him back and force him to go through with the flight, even going so far as to stay with him aboard the spacecraft the whole time just to make sure he doesn't make a break for it again like the drunken coward he is, so it all works out. Which means you got lucky this time, Geordi. Be more careful next time you're talking to a psychologically fragile historical figure. Think about the potential consequences.
I do
you
have
like
to.
this before you.
Abraham, don't go into that theater.
You know,
And the sad, you know what the really terrible part of it is? He's making this argument now, but if you put him in front of the things that most of the major folks, most of the men that make up the sort of American mythological canon did, he'd say exactly the other. He'd go exactly the opposite direction, and has done in many cases. This is hypocrisy of Steve.
Oh, I recognize that. However, the criticism he is currently giving to Geordi
is valid.
Isn't wrong.
The criticism he's giving Geordi is valid. However, there's this whole people who live in glass houses.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the other hand, was it known to Geordi that Cochrane was not the hero he was always displayed as?
Well, and what? Okay, what rank is Geordi at this point?
Lieutenant Commander.
No, he was a full commander at this point.
Oh, you're right.
So
No, that's wrong. I'm looking at the marker. They changed the uniforms.
haha. He is a commander at this point. He has been in Starfleet with enough training to know better.
On the other hand, which rank was Scotty in Star Trek 4?
Captain.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. More garbage.
Well, wait. You do have to remember, what did the time agents that went to DS9 after the Trials and Tribulations as part of that episode, did they have to say about the original series crew?
And you mean Dulma and Luxley, who are
Yes.
definitely a parody of Mulder and Scully?
Yep.
Well, I think they said that Kirk had the biggest file on record.
Yep.
And to quote them, this man was a mess.
Yeah.
Mikey Cage. We're skeptic when we need him.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. All right, back to the video.
You got rid of the visor, man. You've changed. Everybody says so. You don't have to take my word for it. Let's talk about Deep Space Nine, which is not only my favorite Star Trek series, but also features a shit ton of time travel stories. The most well-known of these is probably Trials and Tribulations.
Wait, pause.
Because it doesn't...
A shit ton? Is he including parallel universe hopping in this time travel bit?
Yes, he is.
Well,
He has
let's
to.
see. Let's see if we can find all of them. So there was the Bell Riots.
Yep,
What was the name of those episodes? It was a 2-part in season 2, I think.
Give me a second. I'm looking it up.
Well, he does mention that. So there's that 2-parter. There's Trial and Tribulations. There's...
Past tense. It's called Past Tense Part 1 and 2.
Yep.
There was Trials and Tribulations, exactly. There was Children of Time.
All right.
And there was Little Green Men.
So there's 4.
There's probably 1 or 2 more.
I think that's
timelines.
not all of them actually, and it still doesn't qualify as a quote shit ton unquote.
A lot of the other ones that you could conceivably reference go to parallel universes, like the references to Benny being part of the publishing agency that happen actually in multiple episodes. That one, that's not initially time travel. That is parallel universe hopping. Same thing with all the episodes that involve the mirror universe.
And I just came up with 2 more examples. Remember The Visitor? That counts as time travel, I think, kind of.
He does actually. The Visitor and Weasley Crush Me.
Yeah. And the one with O'Brien.
Yeah, Time's Orphan.
Oh, actually, it wasn't.
No, not that one. Not Time's Orphan. The one where O'Brien travels in the future for 1 hour and meets himself a few times.
Is that one really time travel or the result of a temporal occurrence?
Yeah. When you
I think this is more of a philosophical question.
I think you're looking for intent. Really?
Remember that he does give himself information from the future to the past, so I would consider this as time travel.
Yeah, but even then, when you look at either the number of episodes or the prevalence of it, still not a shit ton.
Well, but it was more on average, I guess, than TNG.
Well,
But
unfortunately, for the number we have right now, we're still not coming up with the same kind of numbers we had for
TOS.
TOS.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I reject his description of DS9 as having a quote shit ton of episodes wherein there be time travel.
Obviously Voyager will be way worse.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Voyager's all over the fucking place.
Future's End, or Future Tense, or however it was called. Relativity.
Yep.
The one
Year of
where
Hell.
Voyager crashes. Year in Hell? Year of Hell, I think. The one where Voyager crashes on that ice planet.
Yep.
Let's see.
You also have the series
Endgame?
finale, Endgame. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We can get
It's
there. in
getting
good time.
complicated.
Just send our heroes back in time, it Forrest Gumps them into a beloved episode of classic Trek.
And
it
done
actually
quite
works
well.
really
What?
And I'm about to agree with him. Done quite well.
Yes, that's probably one of the best made episodes in DS9, both tech wise and also story wise. Actually, it's probably in the top 5.
Yeah, I'd put it up in top 5. All right, continue.
But Magnificent Ferengi and the Pale Moonlight, Visitor. This one? Am I missing one?
The original Trouble with Tribbles.
What? No.
No,
from
I'm talking DS9.
DS9 itself.
Oh,
All right.
Maybe favor the Bold and Sacrifice of Angels
Yeah.
because of the awesome space battles. And Faith, Treachery in the Great River because Jeff Combs is talking to himself.
You
Tekken.
you saw? Yeah, that's what I was laughing at.
Oh no, they killed Wei Yun, you bastards.
Year of Hell. I wonder how many temporal incursions it would take for us to not have to subject to Steve Shives.
I don't think it's possible.
All right, back to the stupid.
well when it could easily have been a cringe-inducing mess. So bravo, people who made that episode 23 years ago. God damn it, I am so old. Once again, I don't think we can fairly call the time travel in Trials and Tribulations reckless, at least not on the part of our heroes. Arn Darvin drags the Defiant back in time to murder Captain Kirk, which would no doubt have radically altered the course of history from that point on, but the good guys act to prevent that, and are very careful to blend in and avoid altering the timeline. Yeah, there's the gag at the end where it's revealed the promenade on DS9 is overrun with tribbles because a tribble was brought back to the 24th century by a certain changeling whose name is derived.
There's this one top line in that episode which I really love. Remember when they were talking about how the tribbles were a mortal enemy of the Klingon Empire?
Yep.
When this line is said, I think this is done to make the viewer think about a bunch of Klingon warriors with their butlets going to the Tribble homeworld and just, well, swinging them for a matter of weeks.
I wonder if
What a heroic battle!
I wonder if Gio has watched this already.
No, I
I
haven't
have
seen
from
it
the
yet.
Cardassian translation of the Bajaran term for unknown sample, not saying who, but that's no big deal. The Klingons hunted tribbles to extinction before. They can do
Oh,
it
there we
again.
go.
Give Worf his mechleth and a keg of Warnog, and he'll have it sorted before roll call. For my money, the best time.
hold it, you freaking retard. First off, the Klingons didn't manage to hunt them to extinction. They came from a planet in which there were high gear predators that ate them instead. You take them off their home planet, and they breed like well, over enthusiastic rabbits. See, here's a Trek that somebody missed, Mr. Shives, and that was the animated series, a continuation of Kirk and Company. And in that, the Klingons were trying to get from our little buddy Cyrano Jones an animal, a predator that they had managed to modify to survive in other environments, whose entire purpose of existence was to eat the frickin' tribbles. Somehow Cyrano Jones managed to get hold of their prototype, and and was taking it around, making sure that all the tribbles died.
Yeah, and to be fair though, a lot of what is done and said in the animated series is more beta canon.
Yeah, for example, the one thing that I really would find astonishing if it was alpha canon, why the fuck is nobody talking about this 8-meter Spock?
The what?
Yeah, there's an episode in TAS in the animated series where Spock gets duplicated on the planet and his clone is like 8 meters tall and actually
Holy
survives
crap.
the episode. He's usually referred to as Spock too, just looking up on Memory Alpha.
Yeah.
Well, I might actually. Well, he would be Spock too, because Spock 3 is the Kelvin beast. Not that I think anybody really even considers the Kelvin timeline of any real value.
It's its own timeline, and that's the thing is, again with Discovery, had they just been honest about that sort of detail, it would not have gotten the backlash it has.
I still like my solution better.
Yes, I agree. It does reduce the majority of the holes and inconsistencies, but simply making it part of its own timeline and universe gets rid of all of them. So, on with the video.
Yeah,
I think we need to, later when we are done with this video, we need to continue bashing Discovery. Because there's still a lot of stuff I need to talk about, especially the fact that Discovery obviously stole from Halo 2.
I want to know what's. I want a single pop culture reference that Discovery has made that hasn't been stolen from some other major property. Seriously.
Let me think.
The tardigrade. That was a minor problem.
Well, Tardigrade was an indie game on Steam, wasn't it?
Yes.
No.
The game
it was set up for release. The development was done. Everything was going, and then they introduced it in. Then they introduced it in Discovery's either the third or the fourth episode. Third episode, I'm pretty sure it was. And the guy said, "Fuck! Now I can't release my shit." He never was. He's still sitting on that game that has been ready now for years, literally years. Because the first thing that people are going to say is, "Well, you stole that idea from Discovery. Fuck you." He's going to get shit that he's going to get shit that he doesn't have coming, and he bloody well knows it. That's why there was a lawsuit to begin with.
All right,
Yep.
moving on. Oh,
Go for it.
Travel episode of DS9, one of the best time travel episodes in all of Star Trek. Hell, one of the best episodes in all of Star Trek, period.
No,
is
it
the
wasn't.
past tense two-parter, where as a result of a transporter accident, Sisko, Bashir, and Dax are thrown back to Earth in the year 2024.
Pause.
Which for those
And does anyone notice how sexist it is that Bashir and Sisko end up in essentially the ghetto while Dax ends up in the lap of luxury?
Oh, right. What's up with that?
Just an odd detail that... Oh, got the pause game on this one.
you're welcome.
It's funny how you don't notice a detail like that, Steve.
Oh no, that's because she's given preferential treatment. If it had been the other way around, he would pitch a fit about it.
Oh, exactly, because the hell with being intellectually consistent. On with the stupid.
characters is nearly 350 years in the past, but for viewers at the time the episode originally aired was almost 30 years in the future, and which is only about 5 years ahead of where I sit right now in 2019. Where did the time go? I was 14 when this episode aired.
Yes,
Yeah, I was a lot older than that, cockfight.
Steve, time runs faster if your brain is slower. Same.
Zero time dilemma reference. Brilliant. Actually, Zero Escape reference. Radical 6.
Oh, love it. All right, back with the stupid.
14. The time travel in past tense is accidental, and Cisco, Bashir, and Dax try to minimize their impact on the timeline. The presence of Cisco and Bashir does get pivotal historical figure Gabriel Bell killed prematurely, but that's the fault of one Biddle Coleridge, not them. And Cisco successfully impersonates Bell and gets things back on track. If we really want to find a serious candidate for most reckless time traveler on Deep Space Nine, there's only one worth considering. No, not Molly. Molly's time travel didn't have any effect on history.
My prediction, Quark. It must be Quark.
Let's keep going.
It was an accident. She wandered into a cave and fell into a time portal. Bratty little shit. You should listen to your parents. They'll be gone before you know it. Time moves so fast, you don't even realize it's happening. And suddenly, there you are. And you're 2 months away from turning 39. And you're like, where did my life go?
Is he talking about himself there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Quark.
Yep.
Quark is who I'm talking about.
Knew it.
Could it have been anybody else? No. Because Quark is just that way.
He's a typical Ferengi, of course.
Exactly.
They are irradiating their own planet?
Go ahead and play.
He's the candidate for most reckless time traveler. Yes, he, Rom, Nog, and Odo wind up on Earth in the year 1947 through no fault or intention of their own, but once Quark figures out what has happened, he immediately begins scheming to use his knowledge of the future to take control of the planet and alter history to benefit Ferengi.
Just like any good Ferengi would do.
Yes.
The rules of acquisition apply at any time and at any point, including the past.
Especially the past. Go for it.
Commerce. Luckily, everyone returns to their own time before Quark has a chance to put his plan into action. Even if he was motivated by benevolence rather than personal ambition and acquisitiveness, he could.
No, he wasn't. He didn't do it
Ferengi
because otherwise Oda would have kicked his fucking ass.
Well, I was just going to say, benevolent and Ferengi, do those even go in the same sentence?
Well, no.
Never.
No, he wasn't saying that that's why he did it. He said, even if...
but that's assuming that is a possibility.
Yeah, which it's not.
So
it's just not. Maybe from Rom, not Quark.
Well, at least Quark had some principles in the end.
True.
Yeah.
Well,
That's just wrong on so many
wait a
levels
second.
for Ferengi.
Wait a second. When the hell did Quark develop principles? I want
Okay.
Oh,
Two examples. He took personal risk when freeing his brother Rom during the time of the occupation. And he tried to conserve Ferengina's old societal economic system in the Dogs of War.
well, and what about when he dressed up to save face and try to help the Grand Nagus?
And when he was brought to Kronos after he was forcefully married to Grilka.
Yeah. Forgot about that one.
I'll be honest with you. I did not see the last season or two of DS9. I really should fix that.
What? You didn't see the last season or two of DS9?
I didn't have during that period of time. I not only didn't have an internet connection, and TV was just out. I was not in a position to have either of those things.
Okay. Then you should do that right now.
Do you need my Hulu login?
Actually, you know what? If you're willing to offer that up, I will happily take it to go check the rest of those out. Seriously.
You really need to. I think it's best to start with the last season 5 episode, Call to Arms, and just watch the last 2 seasons completely.
Yeah, because the last episode of season 5 was one of those, one of those nifty cliffhangers that they started doing back in TNG season 3.
Not really. It wasn't really a cliffhanger because in the end of that episode, the station had already fallen into Dominion hands. So there was no real cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's just a wise lead-in because it does preface the last 2 seasons very effectively without being a part of a cliffhanger or a 2-parter.
Yep.
Right.
Also,
Okay.
you start with a 4 or 5 episode arc when it comes to recovering the station. Starting with Time to Stand and the ship, which are both brilliant, and then later, obviously, the battle for Deep Space Nine during how are the episode's called? Damn it. Favor the Bold and Sacrifice of Angels.
Right. You know what? I don't want to hear anymore. I'll watch it myself in a while. I'll bug Jared for that.
Wait a
one.
second. Does that mean that you haven't seen the episode The Magnificent Ferengi yet?
Was it part of the last? Was it part of the last 2 seasons?
Yes, it was season
6.
6, episode 15, maybe.
10.
Then no, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
fine.
Okay,
IMDb.
you need to. It's the funniest episode of Star Trek ever.
Okay, I will. You know what? I'm going to hold you to that, Gio.
Tech's latest comment is pretty funny too.
I hate Ferengi.
Yeah, when did anyone get the idea that Steve Shives would ever understand the rules of acquisition? Again, there's a reason why this live stream is a thing, Tech.
Exactly.
Possibly have foreseen the results of the kind of changes he wanted to make. Maybe the Ferengi Alliance would become more prosperous. Maybe billions of people would die who didn't die in the old timeline. You can't tell. I mean, deliberately trying to change the future just because you think you can get it to come out better, that's more than recklessness. That's arrogance at an almost unimaginable level.
Yeah, that's called being a Ferengi.
That's been typical. That's been my thought. Why would this be otherwise? We're talking about Ferengi here. Hell, we were talking about Ferengi that completely went over the idea of a monetary profit in favor of revenge way back in TNG.
You mean the one with a stargazer?
Yeah, the stargazer.
Oh, just remember how he did that characterization of that type of time travel, because it will be relevant very shortly.
Moving on.
Wait, Steve does things that are relevant?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Looks like someone's ears were burning. Like Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager had more than a few time travel episodes. Like TNG and DS9 had done and Enterprise would do, Voyager produced an epic 2-part time travel episode, Future's End, where the ship is thrown back to Earth in the year 1996. But the really reckless time traveling doesn't start until 2 years later, when
Timeless,
Voyager
exactly.
presented its...
Yes, I completely forgot the name of that one. Timeless. Yeah.
Yep.
I think Kim and Chakotay were the only survivors, weren't they?
And the Doctor.
Well, yeah, but does he really count?
If data counts, so does the Doctor.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to agree with that.
But the Doctor, the data is at least a piece of hardware.
But you could, if you had to, you could do the same thing to the Doctor. You can get him if you can actually get him a body that would support the program, he would be almost indistinguishable from data in technological terms.
Well, then I guess you have to count him starting from season 3 because of his mobile emitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that point.
I think we're gonna have to do a video, a live stream of us watching the episode where they're trying to, on Voyager, where they're trying to say that the Doctor is Data, basically.
Yeah, you mean the cheap copy of The Measure of a Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
This 100th episode, Timeless. No one actually time travels in this episode, but much of the show is set 15 years into the future, where it turns out the only survivors of the USS Voyager's crew are Harry Kim, Chakotay, and the Doctor. An attempt to return to the Alpha Quadrant using an experimental slipstream drive succeeded in bringing Voyager most of the way home, but a slight miscalculation by Kim caused the ship to crash into an icy planet, killing everyone aboard. Now, future Harry and future Chakotay have returned to the Voyager crash site, retrieved the Doctor's holographic program, and plan to send their past selves a message so they can avoid the crash and change history. And it works, of course. Future Harry sends the message, his past self shuts down the slipstream drive just in time, and Voyager doesn't make it back to the Alpha Quadrant, but the crew doesn't die either. Which is...
Yep. Just good retelling. We just got to break it up every now and then because fair use.
Well, it's not even a question of fair use. It's a question of we have to be able... just pause for the banana, folks. That's all you got to do. Pause for the banana.
It is transformative. Here we are, making it transformative.
That reminds me of Sinatra.
Here we are commenting about just how silly Shives is.
No, Sinatra says did a video where he was like, every 10, 15 seconds he'd interrupt this is commentary. I am commenting or something to that effect, and would just let the video run.
Yeah, we did it on a movie night this past week.
Carry on.
It's nice for them. And future Harry's motivations are completely understandable, deeply human, even admirable. He's so overwhelmed by guilt for, as he sees it, getting his friends killed, that he's willing to erase the last 15 years of his life to undo it. But this episode sets a lousy precedent, not just for the characters, but for the show itself. The future we see during Timeless...
Wait a minute.
A lousy precedent for the entire series? Isn't that Voyager in a nutshell?
That's a different issue.
Let's be fair to Voyager. It was mediocre, but it wasn't really bad. I can imagine a few Deep Space Nine episodes that were actually way worse than everything that happened in Voyager.
Alamarain, count to 4. Alamarain, then
Oh,
3
God.
more.
You will stop that now, and you will never do that again in my presence. I'm gonna. If you do such a thing again, I will have to find you and be very mean.
Sounds like a challenge for Veterans Talk Weekly this week.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You wait till I'm not broke, bastard.
Oh, was that one of the episodes you were thinking about, Gio?
Well, the one I was thinking about was the one in season 1 or 2. The weird one about this prophecy about the asteroid breaking up behind the wormhole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one was not that great.
All right, moving on.
Or
Isn't the product...
The one where, also in Deep Space Nine, I think it was the first episode with Kai Wynn, where they were protesting something going on in the school in Deep Space Nine, that some old Bajoran teaching wasn't taught anymore, which, by the way, was clearly a play on creationism in the US. Like, the theme was very close to it.
Very close. It is a direct parallel to it.
Yep, pretty much. But anyway, it just wasn't done very well.
All right.
Of competing factions in a temporal Cold War, the crew of Voyager didn't die because of someone changing history. It's just what happened. And yeah, it's sad. Harry made a mistake and his shipmates died, and he's had to live with that. But that's what happened. Timeless is the first time we see...
Mr. Steven, Mr. Shives, Mr. Dickbag, citation fucking needed.
No, he is accurate with that. That is quite literally what happened in the episode that had the timeline played out. They tried this experiment, it failed. So that's what Kim was trying to fix and make it so that the failure of the experiment is not so catastrophic.
On the other hand, can we really trust Kim's judgment because he refused to fuck 7 of 9?
Yeah.
He just
it might be kind of a stretch. We can't question you completely because I'm not sure just how well he would have come out of that. But at the same time, if
It's not really a question of coming out of that. It's
every male that sees this video ever will go, well, yeah. Always kind of silly, wasn't it?
That was a great response, Gio.
On the other hand, we are not sure if all the implants had already been removed, right?
Yeah, we weren't sure how complete the transformation was to that point because it was quite early on in her stay. And
It was like the 4th or 5th episode.
yeah.
So like season 4, episode 6, maybe.
Well, and to be fair, I do have to agree with Tech on this one. I'd trust Kim's judgment more than Steve's.
That's true.
And that's kind of where I was going with that, yeah. Because as we've seen a great many times, Steve has the capacity, has the judgment capacity of a dead horse. Actually, I'm probably insulting dead horses, so don't mind me.
Going on.
A Star Trek series regular choose to alter the normal course of history because he wasn't happy with how it turned out. And it wouldn't be the last. Which brings me to the character who is actually Star Trek's most reckless time traveler. Oh, there are other characters I could mention.
What was that?
It must. There's no way. It must be Janeway.
No.
Let him continue.
Just let it go.
Nero from the first Kelvin timeline film is a good one. Sure, he's thrown into the past by accident and consumed by grief over the loss of his homeworld, but his presence does trigger the creation of an alternate timeline, and he does deliberately destroy the entire planet of Vulcan. That's some Galactic Empire shit. Not cool, Nero. And if I widen my focus to include guest characters, there's also Burling.
Hold. Okay, first off, yes, that was completely asshole-ish of Mr. Nero. At the same time, that's not that his presence in the first place is what, and the destruction of Kelvin was what split the timeline. Him destroying Vulcan was just him being a dick.
Yeah,
that's not a time travel problem anymore.
Well, it is. It's a continuation of the time travel problem because it was a time traveler that directly caused it.
It was more solidifying the Kelvin timeline as its own timeline.
Yep, now we're still talking about creation of a timeline here.
But on the other hand, he could have just warned the Romulans that a nearby star would go supernova 200 years or whatever in the future. Well, 150 years in the future.
On with it.
I heard a squeak.
Personally, I prefer how Janeway approaches time paradoxes. Just don't think about it. It'll give you a headache.
Yeah. on the other hand, Picard has a good way of dealing with them as well. Just shoot yourself, literally.
Yeah. All right, on with the video.
Yep.
Rasmussen from the TNG episode A Matter of Time, who plans to steal items of 24th century technology and return to the 22nd century to pass them off as his own inventions, and Anarax from Voyager's Year of Hell two-parter, who uses his time ship to change all kinds of history in an attempt to restore his waning civilization and bring his dead wife back to life. But who are we kidding here? Of all the candidates from throughout the franchise, there's only one character who deserves the title of most reckless time traveler, and she earns it by doing future Harry one better in the series finale of Star Trek Voyager, Endgame. It's now the early 25th century, and the former crew of the starship Voyager are gathering together to celebrate the 10th anniversary of their return home. They all seem to be doing well. Harry is a captain. B'Elanna is a Federation liaison to the Klingon Empire. Tom is a successful author. The Doctor is married. It didn't turn out so happily for everyone.
And you forgot the most important part about the Doctor. He has a name.
Not just a name, wasn't it like his third or fourth?
Right,
Well,
but
let's
he
see.
finally decided one.
Well, let's see. There was Leonardo. There was Schmulus. Fuck, that's all I can recall.
Oh, what was the one when Kim was doing the Beowulf on the holodeck?
Oh yeah. Fuck.
Begins with an S. I know that much. Actually, just my wife's rewatching Voyager, and I happened to be sitting down when she was watching it. But I think he goes by Joe in this episode, if I remember correctly. The most easy name.
Okay,
Joe.
so Eye of the Needle.
Schweitzer.
Yep, Schweitzer.
Schweitzer.
Yep, Schweitzer, Smolis, Van Gogh, Kenneth, Jones, and several others. And the last one he did was Joe.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Unfortunately, we learn that Tuvok is institutionalized, suffering from a degenerative neurological condition, that 7 of 9 died sometime before the ship returned to the Alpha Quadrant, and that Chakotay died shortly after the ship made it home, judging from the date on his gravestone, having lived out his final years heartbroken over the loss of 7, who he was in love with or something. They kind of threw that in right at the very end of the series. So Admiral Janeway does what any...
No, it wasn't just kind of thrown in at the end of the series. They actually had a longer storyline built up to it that actually began at the end of the season prior. But they didn't want it to come off as jumping too quickly into 7 of 9 having human feelings for someone of that nature, so they toned it back at the beginning of season 7, and then over the course of the last 6 or 7 episodes of the series, they worked back into it and started hinting at them creating a relationship, but off screen instead of on.
Metal Slug Master.
It's far from the best love story in Star Trek, though.
Yeah. Well, Metal Slugs, I really couldn't nerd out as much as you all are doing. I love Star Trek to death, but my interests only reach into DS9. Well, at least...
I unfortunately wasn't able to watch the end of that one.
Yeah, do that, and then we'll talk.
Oh, tech for the win.
Yep.
All right, back to the video.
Moving on.
reasonable, responsible person would do in her situation, she decides to travel back in time 26 years to the year in which the rest of Voyager's 7th season takes place and change history so Voyager can make it back to the Alpha Quadrant much earlier than it originally did, thus saving Seven's life, sparing Chakotay from having to live without her, and enabling Tuvok to seek treatment for his condition on Vulcan before it's too late. Future Janeway's motivation is sympathetic in the same way as future Harry's from Timeless, but less so. Future Harry took it upon himself to wipe out 15 years of history because everyone aboard Voyager except him, Chakotay, and the Doctor had died because of a mistake he made. Future Janeway takes it upon herself to wipe out 26 years of history where apparently everyone but Seven made it back home, and everyone who did...
I was going to stop it there anyways.
It wasn't everyone except Seven. There were a lot more casualties that were listed. They just happened to be no-name characters who were part of the crew. And
So you mean the irrelevant cannon fodder?
yes, but
And Steve doesn't give a rat's ass about those because, well, reasons.
But a commander would, especially in that situation where you look at the entire crew as part of your family, not just a handful that are your senior staff.
Well,
Yeah.
senior staff is definitely a thing, but the dream of every battlefield commander, or even ship captain, is to get through whatever it is they had to do without any casualties at all, or at least as few as possible. The fewest number of possible casualties, especially the preventable ones, that's always the best. That is always the best outcome. Janeway had this, appears to have had this at her disposal, because I did in fact miss this episode, or this pair of episodes for the end of the series. But it really came down to, if you have the ability to do this thing, would you do this thing?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, if I could get back the people I lost way back in the day, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
And
I would do that.
and here's the thing: is
Damn the consequences.
Yeah, but
he's-
you have to be careful because I think this was actually pointed out in the episode that you fuck up approximately 20 years of Federation history.
here's the thing: is he's basing this entire argument on the fact that Kim did it for a mistake that he made, and Janeway is not doing it for a mistake that she made.
In fact, let me break in here again. Every time you lose somebody under your command, you're gonna remember that person. You're gonna know that person inside out, upside down, and sideways.
You're gonna
grieving
view it as a
not
mistake.
thing. It is your mistake. You are responsible for that death. Even if you had to, you are still going to be, you're going to be looking at that 20, 30, 50 years later. You're going to remember their face. They're going to come visit you at night.
Actually, Janeway kind of is trying to correct the mistake she made.
That's
Not
exactly what I
necessarily in
was
that
going with.
episode, but in the very first Voyager
Oh.
episode, Caretaker Part 2.
Yeah, let him
where she
continue.
Okay.
Let him continue.
Okay.
So back to the video.
God damn it, I'm just too fast for Shives, I guess.
A lot of people are.
Make it back home is still happy and healthy 10 years later, except for Tuvok and Chakotay. I don't mean to sound heartless here, but aside from the tragic fates of Seven, Chakotay, and Tuvok, this is a pretty fantastic outcome. Voyager was lost on the other side of the galaxy, 75 years from home at maximum warp. But according to Endgame, they made it home in 23 years. Most of the crew survived, and almost everyone who made it back was still alive and well a decade later.
Stop.
This is where his social justice politics is coming into play, and it was really irritating me when I first watched this. Because like we've discussed, any commander, anybody that's leading up anything is going to feel the loss, but he's trying to justify them making it back, and everybody should be okay with it, and that's
never going to be the case.
Yep.
From the first person that was lost on board Voyager when the caretaker grabbed them, Janeway is paying. And she is going to continue to pay until the day she falls over dead, and even then her legacy will include those people. Both the survivors and the people that didn't. How many people died over the course of Voyager? It was a fairly large number.
It was a third or so of the crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
maybe
a lot.
50 people out of the approximately 150 member crew.
Well, that doesn't include the number of Maquis that came on board afterwards.
Yeah.
And
then the amount of crew that they lost from the combined crew. So they still lost almost 50% of the crew between the two of them throughout the course of it, had Janeway not gone in back to end the series.
Yep. Moving on.
Quit while you're ahead. Or
Wait, no, Steve. If you had the opportunity to go back and save someone that actually gave a shit about you, or that you might have theoretically considered, letting exist in your little fucking bubble, you would do that. That is the nature of human beings. Don't you think about lecturing me about the price of command. There will be deaths.
Oh my God, Steve Shives. Hello.
Hello.
I was watching while I was walking. And by the way, you really need to watch the last 2 seasons of Deep Space Nine. What are you even doing here? Get out of here.
Here's the thing, there, Lady Athena, is that if I had the ability to do so at this particular moment in time, I'd be doing it.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Steve Shives make a fucking idiot out of himself and speaking like someone that doesn't know what military is.
Here's what we're gonna do. Regarding those last 2 seasons of DS9, do you know what the Ludovico technique is?
The what?
The Ludovico technique.
It's not a name I'm familiar with.
Okay, it was a way of brainwashing in the movie A Clockwork Orange. Basically, you strap the person in question to a chair, glue their eyes open, and then show them some movies in order to manipulate their behavior.
I've actually, believe it or not, I've seen that movie in the last 6 months, and I was still not aware of. I didn't have its name.
Okay, so that's pretty much what we're gonna do to you if you don't watch DS9 voluntarily as soon as possible.
Well, I have to, like I said, at the moment I have the ability to do so, I will be doing that.
Okay.
I said I'd do it.
It would be better if you would do
somebody
this
even offered.
sooner.
Somebody, I think, offered a manner in which it could be done.
Yep. I think we could have a whole series of just us live streaming squirrels watching and reacting to Deep Space Nine season 6 and 7.
Yeah. What? When did Quark go insane?
All right, back to the video.
Yeah.
Don't quit. Keep living your imperfect, but all things considered, very good life. Of course, it's sad that Seven and Chakotay died prematurely and Tuvok developed a debilitating disease, but that's what happened. And they weren't the first members of the Voyager crew to die or be seriously injured. I can't help but notice Janeway didn't program her time machine to take her back far enough to allow her to prevent the deaths of...
Gio, do you want to respond to Jay in the chat there? His last comment?
Deep Space Nine blows goats. Oh, no, it doesn't.
I was kind of hoping for a more explosive response. All right, carrying on.
Hogan or Carey, or what about Stoddy and Cavett and the rest of the crew who died when the ship was first pulled into the Delta Quadrant by the caretaker? Shit, why not just go back far enough to prevent Voyager from being stranded in the Delta Quadrant in the first place? Chakotay and Seven won't end up together that way either, but they won't know the difference. Look, I get that when viewed from a certain perspective, what Admiral Janeway does in Endgame is pretty awesome. She doesn't like how things are, so she takes it upon herself to change history, and she succeeds. That's pretty badass.
There's another thing that is pretty much not talked about in the series, because we actually don't know on how much the Borg have actually progressed into Federation space at that point in the future, like 2419 or whatever. So, just assuming that the war with the Borg would still be going on. Going back to that exact moment in time backwards to actually fuck up this transwarp conduit is not a bad of an idea.
I've just taken a screenshot of this if you guys want to.
I know.
This is going to replace my my thumbnail for my previous iteration of this.
Looks like he's having a stroke.
Amongst other things.
You know what? I am not actually going to give voice to my first thought when you said that.
Carrying on.
While I don't think it was meant this way, it can be read as a metaphor for social activism. You don't like the way the world is? Do something about it. You think the problems we face are too
Stop.
big or...
You don't like how the world is? Do something about it. Shoot baby Hitler in the face.
Or the whole thing is he's railing about how much he's fucking up history and everything, but then, well, it could be speaking to this ideology that I hold, that I espouse. So, am I being a hypocrite or am I not? Yes, Steve, you are.
Yes, Steve, you are. You can fuck off and die now.
So let's think of let's do a thought experiment here about Steve. Say Q exists, comes to Steve and says, "I'm going to send you anywhere in history. You can change one event, and we'll come back to see how it affected you." Do you think he would go with the killing baby Hitler?
No.
You know what? I don't think he would, because quite frankly, I don't think he has the fucking balls.
He would probably go back to killing baby Trump.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one I could actually see him trying.
Remember, one of them is a dangerous dictator that will fuck up our entire civilization, and the other one is baby Hitler.
Nice.
We're
Alright.
too entrenched to solve? Try it and find out. You might be surprised by how much you can accomplish. If you look at it that way, Admiral Janeway is a goddamn inspiration, and I just want to acknowledge that before I go back to taking the piss out of her. The problem is Admiral Janeway doesn't resolve to build a better future by working to make things better in the present. She decides she can build a better present by going back and changing the past. And she's certainly not the first.
I'm gonna slap you. I'm gonna fucking slap you. You've not. Okay, first off, see if you the fuck idea what you're talking about, and if you make another claim to understand, you make another claim ever again to understand how somebody works psychologically, I'm going to remind you of this moment. This one moment. Because that is the most retarded thing I have ever heard. And everybody that's watched this video is now much stupider for having listened to you utter those words.
Oh, it gets worse.
Very, very worse.
That means does that mean I need to fuck off for the rest of the video? No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh no.
Because I like railing at Steve.
How long is this video anyway? So how much do we have to watch on this?
It was 34 minutes roughly, and we got 12:22 left.
Oh god.
Like I said, it gets worse.
Okay, Mark Beiser in the side chat. If you repeat that, we're gonna ban you.
Wow.
That deserves a timeout, mods.
Yeah, wait. I'm already on it.
Okay, guys, I am not seeing the side chat. Someone needs to copy paste that into Discord for me.
Yeah, he said, quote, "So we all agree Voyager is best track, smiley face, end quote."
Hence the timeout.
Okay then.
There's the pop out chat for you.
Heck y'all.
All right. Moving on.
Science fiction character to get that idea, but most of those other characters are the villains of their stories, not the...
Nice one, Gio.
Yeah.
Getting better.
Oh. All right.
heroes. The heroes are the characters who follow the villains back to stop them from changing history, like Picard and crew in Star Trek First Contact, or Kyle Reese in The Terminator, or Darian Lambert in Time Tracks. Speaking of whom, I saw Dale Midkiff at a convention a few years ago, and swear to God, the dude looks exactly the same as he did back in the day. And that was just, let's see, that was in 2012, so 7 years ago
Somebody needs to get on road.
already.
Do I get a timeout if I say Babylon 5 is better than DS9?
I actually haven't seen Babylon 5.
I've seen Babylon 5. It was shit on a stick.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but like right now in those days, the final few episodes of Deep Space Nine are running on German TV. Currently, well, today was season 7, episode 21, Tacking into the Wind. So yeah, grand finale this week.
Yay. All right, back to the stupid.
The point is, yeah, Admiral Janeway is audacious and gutsy, and she gets it done, but that doesn't mean she ought to have done it. Arbitrarily changing history because you don't like how it turned out the first time? That's more than audacity. That's hubris. And to look at this from a writer's perspective, it establishes that
I'm seriously wondering who gave Steve the word of the day toilet paper.
Whoever it is, if you are not regretting your life choices, you soon will be, because we will find you.
Carry on.
doing such a thing is not only possible, but permissible in certain circumstances. That's a terrible idea because it totally undermines the stakes of any subsequent story. Whatever is done can always be undone. And it creates an inconsistency every time a writer wants to have something bad happen to their characters and make it stick. If Admiral Janeway changed history to prevent a few of her friends from dying or developing serious illnesses, why couldn't Spock or Kirk or some other character from the first Kelvin timeline film change history to prevent the deaths of billions of people when Vulcan was destroyed? Inconsistencies like that don't usually bother me because
Pause.
I think a particular...
Stop. Yeah, well, did they already know how to time travel?
No. And here's the thing. It's not an inconsistency that characters are different with different morality.
It's called being human.
Well, when you talk about Spock, I'd be careful.
He's half human.
Okay.
Got you on that one.
Yeah. Well. Okay. That's fair.
Moving on.
story, especially a film, should be allowed to set its own rules and establish its own stakes, regardless of what came before. But I think we all know that there are quite a few of our fellow Star Trek fans who don't see things that way and will instinctively zero in on any such inconsistency and obsess over it to the exclusion of everything else for the rest of their goddamn lives.
Projecting much?
Oh, it gets better, the reference he makes.
Oh, I know.
And that can be annoying. But in this case, it could also have easily been avoided if the writers of Star Trek Voyager had just found a way to end their series that didn't involve the lead protagonist deciding to rewrite history because the first draft didn't suit her. Look, we'd all like to be able to go back in time.
Isn't that the point of a first draft?
Yeah. To be reviewed, edited, see if people like it. Yeah, that sounds like a first draft.
Tweaked, improved.
Many times, in the case of a first to a second draft, oftentimes rewritten, almost in its entirety.
Bad analogy, Steve. Bad analogy.
Very bad analogy. Shit.
My pause game is pretty good, though.
That it is.
No, actually, I pretty much think that if you pause this video at any random moment, you will get something like this.
That's a fair point, actually.
Just try it. Just smash the mouse button twice to start and immediately stop the video again. See? Go on, do it again. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Am I right?
The one
All
before
right,
the one
gentlemen.
before was better. So
Yeah, the data's still out on it. We'll have to try it on another video to see if it's true.
yeah. All right. Back to
things in our past, things we're ashamed of, choices we wish we'd made differently. Hell, I'd like to think if I ever met my past self,
That fake L-Cars is really pissing me off. It's the wrong font.
Not only is it the wrong font, I don't think they actually have any idea. I don't think he actually has any idea about how L-Cars works.
Did anybody else notice the hull number for his USS actually?
NCC 1988.
It's his birth year.
Actually, it's 1980.
No, it's 1988.
He's right, Jared, dear.
Well, it's not Jared, it's Jay.
No. Okay, fine.
And he's 39.
Right.
He's
He
about to
does-
turn 39. He'd be born in 1980.
But except, of course, that it does say 1988.
You can see that quite clearly, actually.
I can't tell on the screen I'm using, and if I move it, the audience won't be able to see it.
Moving on.
I'd at least be able to pass on some wisdom to make my life a little easier, allow me to avoid making a few
Stop.
mistakes.
I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't be able to pass on any wisdom.
Thus the irony that I began the show with.
Well, you have to understand that until he got female, he was actually not that. He was actually fairly solid. Then he got the girl, went all feminist, and he's been shit ever since. He's been He's the only difference between him and I in terms of circling the drains is he's doing it a lot faster and had a lot farther to fall to start with.
All right.
But that's just not possible. And honestly, that's probably for the best.
And cue the cringe.
A lot of cringe.
Oh no. What's going to
What
happen?
the hell was that?
He's gonna do this.
Oh no.
Dad?
Looks
No,
like
that
he's getting a
doesn't seem
visit
right.
from Call of Dusty.
Like Dad would ever show up in a Star Trek video. No, shithead, I'm you. From the future. How far in the future? About 20 years. How did you, meaning I, travel back in time? Temporal vortex. Hey, think fast.
Stop. This guy, I need to go back just a hair. We need to go back just a hair so we can get a good look at that face. Because somebody said that he's in his late 30s. That man does not look like he's in his late 50s or early 60s. Okay, if you're gonna do a makeup job, Steve, then do something a little more creative than just put white in your hair and beard. Your hair, beard, and that thing, and that caterpillar on your lip.
You actually expect him to have production value?
Well,
You can cancel that word production.
If he's gonna go for the stupid stunt, he might as well do it right. You know,
This is Steve Shives we're talking about.
he can't even do the visual part of his gag. The fuck? No, that's not the way that works.
And why is there still a purple light behind the character?
Anthony must be over.
Oh man.
Either that or the wife decided to turn that area into a dark room.
But a dark room is red and not purple.
No, the dark room is in her heart.
Maybe he's growing weed.
Even then, you still wouldn't use black lights.
Purple.
Hey, think fast. A Niners cap? What's this? A Niners cap. Why'd you throw it at me? It's a gift. For me to me. Thank you. Wow.
Now take
And
that
a
red.
spit-in. I've looked for these, but I could only ever find adjustable ones. Perfect. Where'd you get it? From you. And where do I get it? From me, just now. Wild, ain't it? How can that be possible? It's simple. I come back in time from the future to now and give you the hat. 20 years from now, when you're me, you travel back in time to now and give yourself the hat.
Just pausing for effect. Commentation. This is commentation.
It just
Yeah.
wow. Have alcohol at the ready.
And the thickest of emit you can find. This isn't even Sci Strike of emit approved.
That's a paradox. Yep. The
No,
sequence of
actually-
events you just...
Is it a paradox?
No, because we don't have the first Doctor.
Well, obviously it's obviously a time loop, but it's not a paradox. It would only be a paradox if he would set the cap on fire right now.
It still doesn't answer the question of where the cap came from in the first place.
Yeah, but the question is, does this question actually have to be answered when you have a closed time loop?
No, it really doesn't.
I agree. That's the weird thing about it.
It's described as circular. You give the hat to me, I give the hat to you. But where did the hat come from? It's like a destiny thing, maybe? We were always supposed to have the hat.
The really interesting question is, how old is that hat?
That's a good. Now that would be a question. That would be a question that's actually worth answering. And from the looks of things, it's brand freaking new.
Yeah, well, obviously, at least in Star Trek lore, we have the possibility to actually date to quantum date something, which is done various times in Enterprise during the Xindi crisis.
Metal Slug Master. The only paradox is Shive's subcount, considering the quality of his content.
Ouch.
I actually believe it. I think my production quality is better than this, and I just straight up stream video games for the occasional picture. So watch the video game.
If his lawyer assistant gives out real names and addresses, then it's a paradox.
Ooh!
You know what I just discovered? Do you see the scar above Shive's right eye? On the left side? Well, on the screen it's the left side.
Green left, yeah. I see it.
I have the exact type of scar in the same position. It's super weird. Oh god, maybe Steve Shives is me in the future.
Oh god, no. No! Bad.
Oh my god.
Don't even start with them. Seriously. Don't.
Is there a brain injury strong enough that would cause that?
I don't think so, but it's not impossible.
Highly improbable.
Brain injury in combination with long-term lead exposure, maybe.
Liver poisoning, alcohol poisoning. Yeah.
Alcohol poisoning, maybe. Liver, yeah. I mean, I'm a chemist. I might get into contact with some really damaging substances.
All right. Back to the cringe.
And that doesn't account for how one of us got the hat in the first place. I mean, do I buy the hat at some point in my future before I become you and travel back in time to now? Maybe. What do you mean, maybe? You would remember doing that.
No, the answer is no.
And you would have had 2 of these hats before you brought one back here to give to me. Did you have 2 of these hats? Come on, man, I can't tell you that. Why not? Temporal Prime Directive. I can't give you information about your future. You just gave me a hat from the future. Well, there's nothing about the future written on it. Oh, okay, forget the hat. Tell me something else about the future. I can't. It could change my history. Just tell me something innocuous that couldn't possibly make a difference whether I know it or not. Okay, you live in Ohio. Do I like it there?
Yeah, it's okay. I've just got a little place, but it's nice. Right by the sea.
You mean the lake?
That's not what he said.
What? Wait a second.
Oh,
Ohio,
yeah.
Ohio. Oh fuck, where's my Google Earth icon? It has disappeared. That's... Oh, there we go. So, wait, Ohio.
Ohio is not oceanfront property. It's actually
Yet.
It's south of the Great Lakes, isn't it, somewhere?
Yep.
it's actually on the Great Lakes, the northern border of Ohio.
It hits Lake Erie.
Yeah, it's right there on Lake Erie.
Let's see, Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo,
The Great Toledo War.
Cincinnati? Whatever.
Cincinnati.
Whatever. Okay.
Right by Lake Erie?
No, the sea. Ohio is on the East Coast where I come from. This is the Atlantic Ocean.
So we weren't able to prevent the disastrous effects of climate change.
We barely even tried.
Is that why you've traveled back in time? To change history and prevent a climate change-related catastrophe that killed or displaced millions of people?
No, I just came to give you the hat.
You really traveled 20 years into the past just to give yourself a hat?
Yes, because how else would I have it?
But when you get back to your own time, you won't have it. You just gave it to me.
But I will have had it.
Do you not see how this makes no sense?
It's not supposed to make sense. It's time travel.
God.
Actually, this makes perfect sense if you think about it. It's a closed time loop. What's the problem he has with it? I don't get his objection.
It's because everything's got to be perfectly explained in SJW terms, and he can't handle it.
Yeah. And obviously, the people watching this
is happening right now.
For the people watching this, do not confuse the situation he's dealing here with the head with, for example, what happened in Time's Arrow with Data's head. That's a different type of situation.
Yep. Continue.
Just leave. Get out of here. Go back to the future.
I'm going, but it's not because you told me to.
Just go.
It's because that's what I do now.
And the cringe
Let me ask you
continues.
something.
The worst part of the cringe.
Yep.
Did this bit drag at all? Because I seem to remember when I was you, it felt like it went on forever.
You remember correctly.
All right. See you later. In the mirror.
Oh god, that stare.
Yep.
Wait for it. It gets even worse.
That was weird. Though, seeing myself from the future like that, I don't know. I'm not as bothered by the passage of time as I was.
Liar.
I can't explain it.
Liar. Liar.
I feel young. I feel young.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn it, Steve!
Keep telling
How
yourself
dare
that.
you do this? Don't. You are not. You are not. Cannot and will never be anything remotely resembling James Tiberius Kirk. You were a complete imbecile.
And I do like the hat.
Want the hat? You want the hat? This is your introduction to the hat from last week. Okay.
I accomplished my mission. I gave my past self the hat.
Excellent. Everything is proceeding according to
Oh
plan.
god. No, why?
Oh, just wait.
Okay, stop. Two possibilities here. Either he's aware of the fact that Future Guy was supposed to be Archer, or he isn't. Either of those possibilities is equally scary.
I'm gonna say isn't, but go ahead and play.
Nice. Any chance you can let me in on what the plan is?
What?
Can you tell me what the plan is?
The plan. Yeah, no, that's just something I said. It's like boilerplate villain talk. There is no plan.
Then why did you have me go back in time 20 years and give myself a hat?
Gotta use the temporal vortex for
Okay,
something,
stop.
right?
I just need to explain something to the people in the side chat. At Buzz Pierce, what he's doing right now is a parody of some Enterprise episodes, where a guy from the future who would manifest himself or communicate with the past in this kind of shadowy figure thingy actually showed up in the series like 4 to 5 times.
Always
Okay.
to what was the guy's name?
You mean Silic?
Yeah, Silic.
That Suleiman Lemonhead. What? That's how that they don't look like lemons.
Even Red Letter Media did a time travel bit that was funnier than that, and they're hack frauds.
So there's no larger purpose to any of this?
Nope.
You're just making it up as you go along.
Yep.
And this whole deal with your mysterious identity isn't going anywhere either? You don't turn out to be somebody important?
Oh, this never gets paid off at all.
Wait a second, stop. Future guy sounds a little bit like a mix between Duke Nukem and what's the guy's name? Shit. Forget it. But when I recall it, I'll tell you.
Can you at least explain the hat paradox?
No.
Are you the Red Angel?
Get out.
And that is the video.
Oh, thank God it's over.
The sad thing is I subjected myself to that at work.
I'm surprised you didn't get fired.
Oh wait, well no, I was actually the boss that day, sitting in the back doing paperwork. So
No. I'm surprised you didn't get fired for having the bad taste of. If you're gonna watch shit at work, at least not have the crassness of attitude required to make it Steve Shives. Really.
I needed some. I need something to make me mad to keep me awake.
Oh, wow.
So
My head hurts.
just a little bit, right?
Huh? No, kind of a lot at the moment, but that's all right. I'll get over it.
Okay, Jared, can we quickly talk about the fact that Discovery pretty much stole from Halo 2?
Oh, by all means.
I'll send you 2 links.
Put them in the internal chat.
Yeah, wait a second. I just have to find them first.
This was the original thumbnail I made for my stream.
Yep.
Okay, let's start with the one from Discovery first. It's 2 minutes long. How does the internal chat work here? Oh, there we go. Okay. Play that.
I see nothing.
Hang on, it has to
Some
load. You
time.
got it, Jay?
Yeah, give me just a second here.
And silence filled the room.
And a chill filled the room. Well, if this incredible intentional weapons,
There we go.
bring it.
Lieutenant Stamets, you're stopped.
Hold on. Let me force it into a better quality. Stupid. That's what I'm getting at 1080p. Okay.
Wow. That was a shit capture then.
Yeah, sorry, that's the only one that I found.
No, that's fine.
Anyway, it'll do, I guess.
Locked and loaded, Admiral.
Detmer, put her into geostationary orbit.
Locking in, approximately 800 kilometers above the moon's surface.
Copy that. Initiating mycelial ejection
Remember
protocol.
all the voice lines, very important as well.
Oh, now it clears up.
For example, holding position above the planet, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Continue. Okay, those
Engaging.
things being fired. Just let it run.
Yeah,
I
just-
that's gonna
Agro
comment.
transport boosters.
Okay, then being actively shot down with some sort of rocket thingy. Starting to burn up in the atmosphere.
So it's a moon with an atmosphere. Interesting.
No, yeah, wait. That shot is seen from the surface with a smoke trail. Those rotating rotor brake thingy systems. And then landing on the surface. Stop. You can stop there. That's all we need, actually. Now, do me a favor and please play the video I'm sending you right now. And you will see some remarkable similarities.
I don't even need to watch this part. I already know exactly what you're looking at. It was, if I remember correctly, it was actually from the original Halo game. Hi.
No, in this case, it's the Halo 2 remake. But
Okay.
the Halo 2 original is pretty much the same, only worse graphics. So all the shots are pretty much identical, except for like higher texture quality and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. This actually comes. This comes after this comes almost immediately after they found the second Halo.
Yeah, this is the discovery of Delta Halo.
Yeah, this is the ODST drop.
Yes, just play it.
Report! Both engine cores have spun to zero. We're drifting. Archer pods are cold. I'll need to rekey the system.
Do it and find out where we are.
Sorry for the quick jump, Sergeant. You in one piece?
I'm good. Yeah. Chief?
We're fine.
Ma'am, there's an object. Coming into view now.
Cortana, what exactly am I looking at? That is another Halo.
Say what?
So this is what my father found. I thought Halo was some sort of super weapon. It is. If activated, this ring will cause destruction on a galactic scale. I want all the information you've got on the first Halo. Schematic, topography, whatever. I don't care if I have the clearance or not. Yes, ma'am. Where's our target?
There we go. Now look for the cuts, because they're pretty much identical to what we just saw in Discovery.
Ma'am, we're going to pass right over it.
Pretty much every scene is a
Given what
one-to-one
we know
copy.
about this ring, it's even more important that we capture the Prophet of Regret. Find out why he came to Earth, why he came here. Chief, take first platoon. Hard drop. Secure our landing zone. Sergeant, load up 2 flights of Pelicans and follow them in.
Aye, aye, ma'am.
Until I can move and fight, I'm going to keep a low profile. Once you leave the ship, you're on your own.
Understood.
Over the target in 5.
Hang on to your helmet.
Burning up in the atmosphere with blue thingies. This is pretty much the same shot as before. Rotating braking system.
Less elegant landing, though.
Yeah.
Can you please continue the last like 5
Possibly
seconds are
make
just
any more
hilarious.
noise? I guess so.
So what do you think? Coincidence?
No, there's really not. There's no coincidence here. I saw the first chunk of footage in isolation and said, "Yep, he's absolutely correct."
I don't believe in coincidences.
Well, this Halo game is actually from 2014, so it's a remake of Halo 2, which came out in 2004, I think. But yeah, all the cuts, if you compare them one to one another, they're almost identical. In terms of how far the camera is placed away from the objects in question, the kind of angles, you saw some of the design features are pretty much identical. This is just super weird.
It's almost like the creative team behind the New Age Star Trek has no creativity.
Either that, or there are certain members of the team who were part of the team that did Halo 2 for Bungie.
Yeah, I didn't find any overlaps though. I actually checked through the list and I didn't see anything. I mean, obviously it's possible that there's some technicians, some computer guys behind there, but I didn't find any names that were identical.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, if you didn't find any identical names in the things, you're probably not going to find any kind of a smoking gun. You're probably not going to find people that work both projects. That's just all, because they tend to even list all the little technicians.
Yeah, I agree.
At the same time, a technician of a caliber that might be ignored in a credit sequence or in a cast and crew list, like one would find on IMDb, they wouldn't have enough clout to put the scenes together almost identically.
Yep, and so is it safe to say that the current creative team of Trek is full of it as much as Steve himself is?
Pretty much.
Oof.
Yeah, unfortunately that's the conclusion we have.
That's actually quite harsh to Steve.
What?
I don't think so.
We actually probably owe the creative team at Discovery an apology for comparing them to Steve in the first place.
Yeah, if you haven't watched any of Steve's politics stuff before watching this, you don't realize how much of an insult it is to the Discovery team.
I've done that.
I know you have, Squirrel.
Been there, done that, got and wound up with Twitter level PTSD. Not that I don't already have problems with that on a proper level, but
I'm still blocked by Steve, I believe. I haven't even interacted with him yet.
I've never interacted with Steve either, but I find myself blocked. And
yeah, me too. Hashtag blocked by Steve.
You know, I've never gone to check to see if I am, but I have a feeling because of associations, I am too.
Well, if you're ever wondering what it looks like, here's what it looks like for those that haven't been blocked yet.
Okay, now I'm glad that I'm blocked.
So
everybody, all right. I want here. Okay, by show of hands, I want a list. How many people between the panel and the chat over there have not been blocked by Steve? I'm pretty sure it's a much shorter list.
Probably.
Oh, let's log on and see.
Rodent,
no last name. I've been blocked by Steve, and I don't even have a Twitter account. I'm not quite sure what to make of that claim. Not that I find it impossible.
Hashtag truth.
Hashtag truth. Yes, I'm aware of that, Tech, and the fun part of it is he keeps his block bot updated. He started out. Here's the fun part. I was actually on the pile, under my previous name and at the original Gamergate block bot that Harper put together, and he used it.
Oh.
Wow. Are you not following me on Twitter?
Honestly, I'm not sure who I'm following.
If you're not following me on Twitter yet, you probably should. Try @TruckaSquirrel. Use a capital C. There I am. You are not following me, sir. That's why you haven't been blocked yet.
Oh no, but fuck, where's that echo coming from?
No idea.
Not for me.
It can't be for me.
Let's try it again. Yeah, now it's gone. Nope, it's from you, Squirrel.
All right. I'll turn this down then. There you go. I should fix it.
But no, so like Shives would Shives would block people for just having an association to someone like Sargon of Akkad, who I'm subbed and following, but I guess I fell through the cracks.
Actually, I think Steve follows Sargon these days because he wants to know what Sargon's up to, so he knows exactly how to report him. Either that or Steve has not discovered that Sargon has another Twitter account and it figures he's safe. And therefore he hasn't updated for the next account. I will not give its name here, although I can tell you right now that if you think about it really hard, you won't have any problems finding our little buddy Sargon.
But now that we've still getting that echo.
Okay.
Yep, we're still getting that echo.
You're the only one hearing it, Jared.
No, he's not.
He's not?
No, I hear it too.
Let me try something. Try it now.
Headsets are a beautiful thing. But so with that, we have thoroughly gone through his video in a
Well, now I can't hear you at all. What's your trick?
That's a good thing.
Beginning, were they, for example, talking about Enterprise?
Yeah, they did start out with Enterprise.
Okay.
He tried to make a joke about going through chronological order.
You know what? I would really like to see a Star Trek episode that plays directly after the first warp flight, like in the late, maybe 2070s.
So before Enterprise, but after First Contact, that could be interesting.
Yes,
that would be interesting.
That's the point where the change in the population, right, in society is the biggest.
Yeah. That's where you would have the largest amount of political upheaval at any rate.
Definitely, but now I think a proper sequel as the one announced with Picard is just overdue.
Well overdue. But with that, we've been going for just shy of 3 hours on this, and we've thoroughly demolished that video and our senses, and I think it's time to go recover.
Yeah, my brain is going to go crawl a little hole right now and keep whimpering.
All right, with that, thank you, Squirrel, for joining, and Gio, and even though Athena left, and Jay, next time we'll have to work out the whole dual stream thing just a little bit better.
Well, you do more than one stream that way. You can do more than one, really. Restream.io lets you go to like five or 6 or 8 different places.
Yeah, I'm hoping next time I'll have my computer built. So
well, the difference with Restream.io is in order to stream to multiple outlets on the same platform, you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ain't
What
paying for it.
are you using right now? Just OBS?
Yeah, just OBS to YouTube, and that's the thing is when Jay has his better computer up and running, then
When I buy the parts and build it.
yeah. So
What type of computer are you going for?
I'm just building a computer. I'll post the link here in our internal chat. You can look over my parts list.
Okay, I would actually recommend waiting 2 more months.
it'll probably be about that long.
Because Zen 2.
But then again, budgetary constraints. Gotta love the military terminology. And with that, thank all of you for showing up and watching. Yes, this will be available on the other channels through a mirror after this finishes processing. But until next time, don't forget, Friday night is the Veterans Shit Show, if you want to call it that, where we talk about anything and everything on this channel. Anyone else have anything coming up you want to let the public know about?
No.
Well, I'll be doing a gaming stream tomorrow. It was supposed to happen today, but there was some stuff. Also, Roden, not no last name, our little buddy Roden over here, has a request for the folks at CBS and Paramount. Aside from get your shit together, is how about some Star Trek where they explore things, use diplomacy reasoning. I get behind that.
Okay, I will have some suggestions regarding your computer.
Oh yeah, I figured you would.
Oh yeah, I will.
Well, I've already had a pass at that list too, so I'd like to see what the final looks. I'd like to see what the next one looks like.
All right, Gio, do you have anything scheduled coming up?
In the moment, right now, no. Well, actually, I'm now pretty much finished with my thesis. I just gave the beta version to my boss, and if he's fine with it, I'll be able to bring it to the bureaucrats next week and get it stamped. And then officially, after 13 and a half semesters, I'll be finished with my studies of chemistry.
Nice. And Jay, what about your next show?
Wait, I wasn't finished actually. I just want to say then I'm gonna do a celebration hangout, obviously, to celebrate this that I'm finally done, and then probably I'll take 2 weeks or so off. Maybe doing a LAN party. Let's see.
Nice.
I'm going to probably get in trouble with the New Zealand government because I'm going to be covering the manifesto either tomorrow or Thursday.
Oof.
And then going back to what I was originally doing before this, and that was, what even was that now? Oh, it was the Tim Pool, Jack Dorsey, and Vija episode of Joe Rogan, going over that in detail.
Oh. All right. Well, for those of you not subscribed, go over to Thoughts by Jay Brown, and you will catch those as they become available. Till then, we will see you next time.